winner on display. Threw for over 600 yards in this game a year ago in San Diego. Sean McDonough, Mike Gottfried, and Neil Lomax with more on tonight's SeaWorld Holiday Bowl.
Welcome to San Diego for the 1990 SeaWorld Holiday Bowl. Tonight, it's a study in contrast as Texas A&M takes on BYU. To understand this year's Holiday Bowl matchup, we must first take a lesson in football physics.
In order to project an object into the air, you must overcome the force of gravity.
Like an airplane, BYU defies gravity with Heisman Trophy winning quarterback Ty Detmer at the controls. He has propelled the Cougars to new heights with receivers who gravitate toward the end zone and give BYU the nation's second highest scoring offense.
An object in motion tends to remain in the state of motion unless acted upon by an outside net force.
Like a moving train, Darren Lewis remains in forward motion, and his ground moves give Texas A&M control of the turf. He danced for more than 5,000 yards in his career. Our next course is physical education. BYU has a defense that can punish, while quarterbacks pay the price against Texas A&M. But for the Aggies tonight, it's psychological. Can they stop Detmer?
Yes, of course we can. I feel that we can stop him.
No way. Tonight, we'll learn the answer as Detmer puts his Heisman formula to the test. The trophy is his prized possession, and now he's gunning for his first Holiday Bowl win. And welcome to beautiful San Diego, California for the 1990 SeaWorld Holiday Bowl. Tonight, it's Texas A&M against BYU. And welcome to the third of 4 bowl games to come your way this season on ESPN. I'm Sean McDonough. We are delighted to have you with us. We'll have more on this football game, but let's pause now for the end of our national anthem. This sellout crowd of 62,000 is ready for what has become annually one of the best college football bowl games. And from all of us at ESPN, happy holidays to you and yours. It's a pleasure to be working tonight with Mike Gottfried. Mike, we know what to expect tonight. The running attack of Texas A&M, the passing game from BYU, and we know who the headliners are, Ty Detmer and Darren Lewis. Let's talk about some of the other key people for Texas A&M. The people who will help Darren Lewis run that offense.
Well, Sean, Tim Brando said Ty Detmer earned and started to make his progress toward the Heisman Trophy last year in this game. Robert Wilson, the fullback from Texas A&M's the best young player I've seen all year. Here you see him on tape right here. He's an outstanding player. He does great things with the ball, without the ball. He will be the inside threat on the option. BYU will have to stop him. On the other side of the ball, William Thomas, number 11, outside linebacker, will be a player who will put a lot of pressure on Ty Detmer in this ball game.
Ty Detmer with a great core of receivers. One of his favorite targets comes from the backfield in Matt Bellini, who's a running back who only carried the ball 8 times all year, but he did catch 59 balls. We don't know how much he'll be able to play tonight.
Well, when you lose a Matt Bellini, you have him right here. His ankle is injured. He's going to play sparingly, but the biggest problem that you have is not only is he Ty Detmer's favorite receiver on third down, but a coach gets into a mindset of wanting to get the ball to Matt Bellini on third down. That's the biggest problem they're going to have. They're going to have to go to somebody else on third down.
Perhaps Chris Smith, the standout tight end. BYU making its 9th trip to the Holiday Bowl for Texas A&M. It is the Aggies' first trip to San Diego. We'll have more in a moment.
У него точно такой же значок Maple Leaf, как у меня, мы с ним братья.
He says you're like a brother because you wear the maple leaf like him.
Вы даже бы счастливы, что живете.
And he thinks you're a very lucky person to be living here.
Really? Tell him he's right.
Petro-Canada, committed to Canadians.
Today we're going to compare the Nike Air Flight Lite with the Super Dave spring shoe.
We got steel covered with genuine Saskatchewan salmon skin for real safety.
This is the lightest Nike basketball shoe on earth.
Well, let's check it out.
These feature ambient tungsten steel springs. At the count of 10, I'll be going through the roof. Oh.
Nice billboard.
Isn't it apparent that I need assistance? I think I just broke my brain.
Well, of course you did.
I think I'm going to pass on the other 2 dunks.
We're just moments away from the kickoff of the 13th annual SeaWorld Holiday Bowl. Texas A&M against BYU. This is one of the youngest of the bowl games, but it has quickly developed a reputation as one of the most exciting. Down on the sidelines, here's Neil Lomax.
Okay, thanks, Sean. Yeah, the high-flying, high-scoring, heart-stopping history of this 13th annual Holiday Bowl is an impressive one. You know, voted the best college bowl game by Sports Illustrated. This is going to be an exciting one. And with these two different styles of offenses, expect history to repeat itself because the combined total scores of these games have been over 50 points with the two teams, 9 of the last 12 games being 5 points or less deciding the winner. So these are heart-stopping games, and Sean, expect history to repeat itself.
Thank you, Neil. The Texas A&M Aggies making their way onto the field under the direction of head coach R.C. Slocum. Texas A&M brings an 8-3-1 record to San Diego. The Cougars of BYU making the familiar trip onto the turf here at Jack Murphy Stadium. The Cougars, the champions of the Western Athletic Conference with an overall record of 10-2. ESPN's Bowl Week presentation of the 1990 SeaWorld Holiday Bowl from beautiful San Diego, California.
If only there was an easy way to exercise. Stop. Introducing Walk and Roll from Telexpress. Now you can walk to a fitter, trimmer, healthier you. Exercise the feet and ankles. Firm and shape your calves. Slim and tone your thighs. Define the hips. Tighten and shape the buttocks. Rediscover that waistline and flatten the tummy. 18 padded rollers. 6 white indicate walking zone. Extended black rollers for rollback. All cushion impact. For a leisurely stroll or a brisk walk. Great for a jog, speed walking, or a run. Fully assembled and satisfaction guaranteed. Order Walk and Roll today on this exclusive Telexpress offer and get fit for 3 easy payments of $43. Just put one foot in front of the other and walk and roll.
Don't send any money. Just call 1-800-541-6667. We'll bill your credit card 3 monthly payments of only $43 plus shipping and handling. Just 3 monthly payments. So call 1-800-541-6667 now.
The SeaWorld Holiday Bowl about to begin. Texas A&M won the toss and will receive. The man who made that decision, R.C. Slocum, in his second year as head coach at Texas A&M. And his counterpart, 60-year-old Lavelle Edwards in his 19th season as head coach at BYU. On the left of your screen, Randy Simmons. At the top of the screen, Shane Garrett back to receive the opening kickoff. Earl Kaufman boots it away for the Cougars. And it scoots into the end zone. A touchback, and the Aggies will begin at their own 20, led by quarterback Bucky Richardson, a junior. Darren Lewis and Robert Wilson in the backfield behind him. The wideouts, Gary Oliver, a possession receiver, Shane Garrett, the speed of the wideouts, the tight end, Dennis Ransom. A huge offensive line. The tackles, Jason Rockhold and Matt McCall. The guards, Mike Pappas and John Ellisor. And the center, one of the best in the nation, Mike Arthur. Bucky Richardson, the junior from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, took over at mid-season as the quarterback of the Aggies. Darren Lewis ahead for about 2 to the 22. Brian Mitchell made the tackle for the BYU defense. Let's meet the rest of the Cougars defensively. The tackles, Pete Harston and Rich Kafusi. The nose guard, Mark Smith. On the outside, Alema Fatisamanu and Scott Giles. On the inside, Rocky Beagle and Shad Hansen. The corners, Irvin Lee and Brian Mitchell. The safeties, Josh Arnold and Derwin Gray. It is a depleted Cougars secondary. Usual starters, Tony Crutchfield and Norman Dixon, are out of the lineup tonight with injury. The pitch again to Lewis. He's out to the 25 for a gain of 3. Scott Giles made the tackle for BYU.
Oh, early A&M's doing exactly what we thought they'd do, run the football and try to control the clock. They went to a formation there, an unbalanced formation, where they put 2 tight ends together. Now, you'll see that with a lot of motion to see if they can get a mismatch and get an extra blocker on their side of their scheme.
Third down and 5. Richardson has Oliver open, first down A&M. Gary Oliver with the catch at the 31. He's the leading receiver for Texas A&M. He caught 28 passes during the regular year.
BYU so concerned about the rushing game. Here you see the pass game where Robert Wilson and Darren Lewis both blocking on the outside. Just have a quick out route just beyond the sticks to pick up the first down. Usually when you're in a mindset defensively of stopping the run, the passing game should work. Now, when A&M now starts this series, I look for them to try to get Robert Wilson inside to try to help set up the option a little bit later.
Garrett goes in motion on 1st and 10, just underway at the SeaWorld Holiday Bowl. Lewis burst through the hole. He's out to the 38 for a gain of 7.
It's an isolation play, Sean, where they're going to lead Robert Wilson through. Watch Robert Wilson here. Just take a parallel step. He's blocking on the linebacker. Good block. Springs Darren Lewis for a good pickup of about 7 yards. Again, A&M will try to control the ball on the ground, keep Ty Detmer on the sidelines.
2nd down and 3. Lewis has the first down as he squirts out to the 43-yard line. The tackle made by the inside linebacker, Shad Hansen.
Darren Lewis, outstanding tailback. He's had a great year. 291 carries, the tank, 1691 yards, 18 touchdowns. You know, I think the thing is, if you compare us to basketball, it'd be like a run basketball team where you're a running team and you're gunning team and you're playing against a slow down team. That's what I expect. One of these offenses will control the ball and force the other team to come on and try to get something done very quickly.
Play action pass on 1st down for Richardson. Has a couple of men open, and it's Oliver making the terrific catch. He's at the 32-yard line of BYU, a 25-yard gain.
Bucky Richardson came into Texas A&M lineup in the Houston game. He brings an option-type quarterback style, but he can throw the football. Here you see him on play action where he gets a good fake to Darren Lewis, gets good pass protection, scrambles a little bit. Now he's going to find Gary Oliver on a crossing route. I don't believe he was really throwing to Gary Oliver. I think he was trying to hit Shane Garrett, and Gary Oliver came underneath, made the catch. 2 receivers in the same area.
This time it's Wilson, the fullback. Inside the 25, they'll spot him at the 24. Gain of 7 for the Aggies. They are driving down the field on the game's first possession.
Well, I said early when Tim Brando threw it to us and talked about Ty Detmer last year in the bowl game, Robert Wilson can have that kind of game tonight in this bowl game. He can propel himself into the Heisman race next year. He's that quality of a player. As you see R.C. Slocum, who's done a great job coaching this A&M team.
This the 8th play of the drive. We're down to 11.5 minutes to play in a scoreless first quarter. Lewis. The offensive line of the Aggies doing an excellent job knocking the defensive front of the Cougars back. Lewis appears to have the first down as they mark him at the 21.
BYU a lot of times tilt their nose guard. Mark Smith, number 91, we'll get a shot of him pretty soon as he's tilted, which he'll draw a double team, which means then Robert Wilson has to pick up the linebacker to allow Darren Lewis to run free on the isolation.
That's Bob Toledo, the offensive coordinator in the background. Been a nice mix of run and pass on this opening drive, and there is a look at the nose man Smith. Tilted over the center, Arthur. Lewis. Out of bounds, close to another first down. They'll mark him out inside the 13, about 1.5 yards shy of the first down. Brian Mitchell knocked him out.
That's the formation that Bill Walsh made famous with the 49ers. He takes the 2 tight ends and puts them together, one on the line of scrimmage and then the other one cocked off, 5-yard split. And you get an extra blocker there, and BYU has to figure out exactly where they want to put the defensive end.
Officially a gain of 9 for Lewis on first down. He's up to 29 yards rushing on 6 carries. Wilson, first down inside the 10. He pulls down to the 7-yard line.
This is exactly what you didn't want to happen if you're BYU early. You don't want your front dominated, because if the offensive line, the big offensive line of A&M, as you see him come off the ball here, Robert Wilson breaks it back. You see what I'm talking about? He has such good feet. He can make cuts. He can catch the football. He can block. He is a true #1 draft choice if he stays in school and a true Heisman Trophy candidate next year. I'm coming out as early as possible to make him a candidate next year.
I think it's obvious you like him. First and goal from the 7. Wilson again tripped up at the 3-yard line. He's 6'1", 245 pounds, and he enjoyed his first bowl experience last year when he rushed for 145 yards against Pittsburgh in the John Hancock Bowl.
Well, he's an outstanding player. As I was saying earlier, R.C. Slocum, you see right here, wants to try to establish the run. If he is able to establish the run, even without the option early here, and dominate the front of BYU, he's going to force BYU into blitzes with their linebackers.
Second and goal from the 3. Garrett gets a block. Garrett leaps and did not get into the end zone. Irvin Lee and Josh Arnold came out of the secondary to knock him down at the 1. What a nice block from John Ellisor back behind the line of scrimmage to allow Garrett to get close.
It's a good play call because they've been hitting up inside. Here you see the fake to the tailback, Darren Lewis. Here comes Shane Garrett around on the reverse. Gets good blocking, and what a great effort by Shane Garrett. 5'11", 185, trying to get into the end zone, trying to go up and above, but he was stopped.
Third and goal from the 1. This the 13th play of the opening drive. Lewis, touchdown. Robert Wilson with the call for the touchdown for R.C. Slocum. The Aggies with an impressive opening drive. They take a 6-0 lead.
Well, here's what we talked about earlier. Again, you keep the running game going. You keep Ty Detmer off the field. Now Ty Detmer is going to come on the field and try to make something happen quick. So A&M's strategy has worked in the first series.
Lane Talbot on to try the extra point. He's only missed 1 in his career. 88 of 89 lifetime. And with 9:23 left in the first quarter, Texas A&M on the touchdown by Robert Wilson leads BYU 7-0.
Have you ever thought you could call the plays in a live football game? Well, you can with QB1. You'll be linked to the North American QB1 network live, head-to-head action with opposition on and off the field. Test your knowledge of pro football and call the plays yourself. QB1. Compete for prizes in 185 licensed locations across Canada. For a location near you, call 1-800-661-PLAY.
And an exciting start to the Holiday Bowl. 7-0, an impressive drive.
It's an outstanding bowl. There's always a lot of scoring, and now what BYU has to do is take the ball right down the field and control their part of the clock and get on the board.
Terry Venetoulias kicks off. Brad Clark, one of the up men with the return, out to the 35. So good field position for the BYU offense, led by Heisman Trophy winner Ty Detmer, the junior from San Antonio. Stacy Corley for the injured Bellini, and Peter Tuipulotu in the backfield. Andy Boyce with 79 catches, and Brent Nyberg, the wideouts. The tight end, All-American Chris Smith. The tackles, Neil Ford and Mike Kime. Both could be pros, according to Coach Edwards. The guards, Jim Baumforth and Brian May. And the center, Robert Stevens.
Sean, what I look for BYU to do is a lot of quick passes right off the bat, delays to the backs.
Denver comes out throwing and has the tight end Smith close to a first down at the 45-yard line. Chris Smith was the second leading receiver for Ty Detmer in the regular season. He caught 68 passes.
Ty Detmer comes right out throwing the football and right to his favorite receiver. You see just a quick drop, finds the tight end Chris Smith open, makes the catch. I believe what they were trying to do is throw a delay to the fullback right there, but came off and threw to the tight end.
It is a first down. As you look at the career numbers for Ty Detmer, that yardage total second best in NCAA history, and he has one more year of eligibility left.
Well, he's an outstanding player, and these receivers, he can't afford to lose this player right here, Chris Smith, because with Matt Bellini banged up a little bit, these are his two receivers that he likes to go to in key situations. See Chris Smith make the catch. See the back. There's a tackle. After he rolls over, may have caught his knee. Again, look for Ty Detmer just to open it up, throw quick passes against A&M. Try to keep them off guard a little bit on the rush.
Another throw on first down. And a short gain on the play to the 48. Nice play on defense made by Quentin Coriat, as Eric Dredge was the receiver. Defensively for Texas A&M, Jason Black and Albert Jones, the ends, John Miller, the nose guard. On the outside, Marcus Buckley and the standout William Thomas. The inside linebackers, Anthony Williams and Quentin Coriat. The corners, Kevin Smith and Derek Frazier. And the safeties, Larry Horton and Chris Kroom.
Good matchup is William Thomas versus the offensive tackle, number 11, his quickness.
Detmer throws. Broken up. Intended for Boyce, and it was Kevin Smith, the all-time leading interceptor at Texas A&M, who broke up the play. And here comes Chris Smith back in for BYU. That's good news.
Well, Kevin Smith breaks on this ball perfect. You watch the route by Andy Boyce. It's a good route. He drives up, and now watch the break of the defensive back. Kevin Smith comes around, uses his hand a little bit on his hip, but is able to deflect the ball and knock it away. Now, what BYU is going to have to do early with these people are booing because they saw the replay, but BYU is going to have to throw deep here early to try to get the coverage off of them a little bit, because Texas A&M feels like they're fast enough in the secondary to stay with these receivers.
3rd and 7. Detmer has a man open. Matsuzaki down at the 25-yard line of A&M with a first down. A 27-yard completion. Detmer to Micah Matsuzaki, the sophomore from Honolulu.
Ty Detmer is dangerous when he's out of the pocket. He's dangerous in the pocket, but he's more dangerous when he's out of the pocket. Here, both linebackers splits inside. Here's Ty Detmer outside without anybody pressuring him and hits the crossing route. Ty Detmer is the type of quarterback that can move around a little bit and you keep the rush off. In other words, he's not setting up at 5 yards all the time on a drop back. He's moving around all the time. Tough to draw a bead on him where he's at.
Now play. Tui Pelotu inside the 5 and down at the 4.
Boy, I'll tell you what a drive by BYU. Now, you saw Texas A&M, what they were able to do running the football, mix one pass in. Now, all of a sudden, you're a passing team, and you get the defense back on their heels, and they're rushing, and now all of a sudden, you spring the fullback up inside on the draw. Watch the defensive linemen of Texas A&M. They're playing pass. They're all rushing through to try to make the play on Ty Detmer, and they break the fullback underneath on him.
Leading rusher for BYU, Peter Tui Pelotu, averaging better than 6 yards a carry on the year. Well, this is what we expect in the Holiday Bowl. Plenty of offense. Not much offense on that play. Stacy Corley couldn't turn the corner. Kevin Smith, who already has been all over the field, came up for the secondary. Throw that play for a loss back to the 8-yard line.
Sean, both these teams had tough losses at the end of the year, but the Hawaii loss when Ty Detmer won the Heisman Trophy was really a tough loss for Lavelle Edwards and Ty Detmer. Now you got Ty Detmer on the rebound tonight. He's a Texan playing against a Texas team. And this game means something to him, not only for the fact of what I just said about Texas and Texas, but the fact is he wants to prove he deserves that Heisman, which he does, but he's focused in on this football game. They'll need to roll him out a little bit on this action.
This is the 7th play of the drive. Detmer throws. Touchdown, Chris Smith.
Dangerous on the rollout, as I said earlier. That's what, if you're Texas A&M defensive coordinator Bob Davie, you got to try to figure a way to get him to pull up and not let him roll with the guard leading him right here. You see he's dangerous coming across. He finds Chris Smith coming across from the other sideline, gets the touchdown pass.
Earl Kaufman for the extra point, and we are tied at 7. Well, I don't think we falsely built this one. We said to expect plenty of offense, and that's what we've had. 7-7, still 6.5 minutes left in the first quarter.
Can your motor oil survive the punishment today's engines dish out? Circulating it twice as fast, working it twice as hard, breaking it down and causing it to lose its viscosity. That's why you need an oil with the additive that does more to help prevent viscosity breakdown. Castrol XLR, the oil engineered for today's car.
New Year's Eve, from the action in the pits to the action on the track, TSN has all the exciting highlights from the NASCAR season. Then, NFL Films Greatest Moments presents the biggest and the hardest hits on all-time neutralizers. Cool down with the dazzling Women of Sport. TSN has the Making of Sport magazine swimsuit edition. The NASCAR season in review, the biggest hits from the NFL and the dazzling Women of Sport. New Year's Eve on TSN.
Each team has had the ball once, and each team has scored a touchdown and added the extra point, 7-7 with 6:36 left in the first quarter. Sean McDonough with Mike Gottfried and Neil Lomax from Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego.
This is Kentucky and UNLV in basketball, up and down the field right here.
Roger French, the offensive coordinator at BYU, chatting with Ty Detmer, who has now thrown a TD pass in 25 straight games.
Boy, an outstanding quarterback. Good accuracy, knows what he's doing. Will come back and show you that touchdown pass of exactly what they caught Texas A&M in a blitz and a man coverage situation.
Earl Kaufman will kick off. He's a junior from Universal City, Texas, who handles both the punting and place kicking for BYU. Ty Detmer, by the way, was 4 for 5 on that opening drive.
He is focused.
And again, it's Randy Simmons and Shane Garrett back to receive the kickoff. That sails out of bounds along the near sideline.
Here's the replay now. Number 6 is man coverage on the tight end. You're going to watch. Now, when you blitz the team and you play man coverage, here's what can happen. Watch Chris Smith come off the ball. He's working. Now, watch another player from BYU come across. Man coverage, he picked that particular player. There's Chris Smith wide open. When you play man coverage in a goal line situations, BYU's crossing the receivers, and sometimes you'll get a defensive man picked off like you did there. You saw him where he was wide open. He was wide open because the defensive man was picked off. There's Chris Smith, a transfer from the University of Arizona.
When you saw the wrap on his left shin, he appeared to take a helmet to the shin on one of the first couple of plays. Came off the field for a couple of plays, then came back in to score the touchdown. He was a consensus first-team All-American. Kaufman. Well, those are a couple of kickoffs that look like a couple of our spotter Lowell McDonald's drives off the tee here in San Diego a couple of days ago.
Well, the coaches aren't real happy either. The special teams coaches are saying, hey, let's get it down there. You already gave him 10 yards now. That's one first down that Darren Lewis and Robert Wilson don't have to get. BYU on defense, Dick Feld is the defensive coordinator, but he had a problem heart-wise early in the season, and a lot of his duties, the coordinator duties, have gone to linebacker coach Ken Smith. And it's a very tough situation. Dick Feld's an outstanding coach, and he's doing well, and he's here tonight in the press box, and he's coaching the secondary.
Kaufman is 0 for 2. Trying to kick it off. That's better. Simmons from the 14. And excellent field position for the Aggies. They'll begin at the 39. Let's check in with Neil Lomax.
Okay, thank you, Sean. I'm here with Sonny and Betty Detmer, Ty's parents. Guys have seen him play a lot. This is number 2 times at the Holiday Bowl. What's it like watching your son play?
Well, it's a lot of fun. It's really thrilling. And, you know, he's an exciting player and was an exciting player for us in high school. And I like coaching him, and it was fun watching him in. And it's probably more exciting and more fun now because I get to be a father a little bit.
Well, my mom was always worried watching me play. Let's talk to the mother here.
Oh, we just enjoy playing him, watching him play. You know, I get a little worried sometimes when those big guys get after him, but it's exciting.
Now, you got a son, too, Coy. He's going to be something else as well, junior in high school, right?
Yes, sir. He had a real good year this year, and like I say, hello to Coy and those Mission Eagle fans down in Mission, Texas. They were great fans this year, and we had a great team this year with Coy quarterback.
Okay, well, thank you for coming down.
Thank you.
Back upstairs, guys.
Sean, Sonny Detmer's coaching at Mission, Texas, and the football stadium there is named after one of the great ones, Tom Landry. That's probably the greatest football player to come out of Mission, Texas, and in my opinion, one of the great coaches of all time, and gentlemen.
And some say Coy Detmer, who is a junior in high school, is better than Ty. That's hard to believe. Bucky Richardson, the quick hitter, complete to Garrett for the first down into BYU territory at the 48. Shane Garrett, the senior from Crowley, Louisiana.
Well, I think that'd be great coaching your son. You know, when you have two sons of that ability.
Well, Sonny Detmer, the father, coached Ty at Southwest High School in San Antonio. Then when Ty left, he lost his job. Had to go to Mission, Texas, where he coaches Coy, and they had a surprisingly good year.
Should that surprise me?
You can sympathize.
Here's the formation now where they're trying to get the extra man with the 3 receivers to the left.
Bucky Richardson, already 3 for 3 passing. Swings that out to Garrett. He's knocked down by Irvin Lee at the 41 after a gain of 7.
You might wonder why A&M's throwing the ball in these first 2 possessions, but BYU's went to an 8-man look, so they're forcing them to throw the football right now. But I'd look for A&M to go right back to Robert Wilson and Darren Lewis.
That is the best start for a Texas A&M head coach, the 16-7-1 record since 1917. DX Bible was a legendary coach himself.
Pretty solid coach.
Second down and 3. 7-7 the score late in the first quarter. Darren Lewis couldn't get outside. Olema Fatisa Manu, the leading tackler for BYU, made the play. He's a senior from Western Samoa. He's 24 years old because so many of these BYU players go on church missions for the Mormon Church. Several of them are older players.
You see Olema take on number 51, Ellison, then come off the block and make the play on the tailback counter. When you see that tailback counter, usually they try to seal that down, and then the guard comes around and blocks Olema on that particular play, but was not able to block him on that play, forced the play outside, which means it's not a good football play.
There was a loss of 1. 3rd and 4. Richardson's pitch was deflected. Lewis falls on it. Back in Aggie territory at the 48-yard line.
This is a speed option play to the short side of the field. Bucky Richardson just waited a little bit too long to get rid of that pitch. He got too close to Olema Fitsasuma and got to a position where he couldn't make the pitch, and that caused the fumble.
Sean Wilson, he is the punter for Texas A&M. He's the son of the great Gerald Wilson, who for 16 years was a punter for the Kansas City Chiefs, one of the best ever. Mike Solito caught it on the run, and he goes down immediately at the 20-yard line. 7-7 the score with 3:11 left in the first quarter in San Diego.
People here in suburban dawn feel the power.
Chrysler. All you have to do is drive one.
7-7 the score. We hope you're enjoying the view from the blimp provided tonight by Virgin Lightships, operators of the world's only internally illuminated airship. Plenty of air traffic before the game. Parachuters bringing the game balls here to Jack Murphy Stadium. 7-7 the score. BYU with the football for the second time. Detmer, complete. Bellini, first down and much more. He's finally knocked out of bounds by Smith at the 39-yard line.
Well, when you're going to blitz a quarterback like Texas A&M, 2 things can happen. One, the quarterback's going to throw quick, which he does on this particular play. Second is move the quarterback away from the blitz. Here you see Bellini come right out of the backfield. There's the pick route again on man coverage. He comes open, makes a big play. And again, this is a big boost for them psychologically, because Matt Bellini's on the field for a play, does well, now he comes off. That'll give him some confidence ankle-wise also.
Has a right ankle and left hamstring problem. He hobbled off after picking up 19. They fake the reverse. Detmer in trouble. Tries to dump it off, and it's picked off by William Thomas. Flag down on the play, and another flag flies in late.
Penalties will be interesting and probably he's blocking low after the interception, but we'll have to wait and see.
Penalty against BYU. It is declined. Jim Springer, our referee. It is a Pac-10 officiating crew.
Well, Lavelle doesn't like this. This is a big play. Here you got the fake to the fullback. Here comes the reverse fake. Ty Detmer's in good shape. Now all of a sudden he's in the hands and grasp of Albert Jones and tries to throw the football. It's tipped, and then William Thomas picks it off. William Thomas was a quarterback when he came to A&M. That's why he has number 11. He's superstitious like a lot of football players and didn't want to switch when he moved over to defense.
That's his first interception. Now the reverse to Garrett. Gets a block from the quarterback, Richardson. Takes the hit from Lee, but still spins for what appears to be a first down.
Well, when I came up in coaching, Paul Brown, one of the great ones in Cincinnati of the Bengals, and when he coached the Browns, he always said, run your trick play early because you'll talk the other guy out of running his, but that's not been the case tonight. Here's another reverse. Right after BYU runs their reverse, here's the pitch to Darren Lewis, who then gets the ball to Shane Garrett. Watch the quarterback blocking Bucky Richardson. Yeah, he's in there. He's doing the best he can. He gets him down, and then Shane Garrett picks up good yardage. Bucky Richardson with a key block.
Boy, it looks like they should have spotted him out of bounds after the hit from Irvin Lee, but they did not. First down A&M, and here's another first down as Wilson bursts through to the 11-yard line. 14-yard gain for Robert Wilson.
But when you stretch a defense, when you're going wide, you're running reverses, you're throwing a sprint-out passing game, you're stretching them. Here, you're going to give the ball to the fullback on the first read of the option. You see Robert Wilson then break. Watch it cut now. His ability to move, cut, stay on his feet right here. He's a powerful runner, 245 pounds.
First down, they spot him at the 12. 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. 7-7 the score.
And Dr. Robert Wilson.
Wilson again inside the 6.
Number 77, Rick Wilson.
When you got that big line like they have Texas A&M, and you got the fullback, his heels are at about 5 yards, and you can get him the ball so quick, they can't find him because all those deep offensive linemen, watch Robert Wilson, he gets the ball so quick, he's on you. And here's the block of the offensive line, led by Mike Arthur, number 52, and he's on you right away. They have not stopped the fullback yet, BYU, because he's on them so fast with that big line.
2nd and 4 from the 6. Down to a minute 25 left in the first quarter. The game tied at 7. Lewis gets the block from Wilson. Touchdown! What a block by Wilson to spring Lewis for the touchdown run.
Well, what a great block by Robert Wilson. Right in the end zone. Watch Robert Lewis right here, the fullback. This play is going to be designed to break outside. Now watch Robert Wilson. The ball comes back. It's given to Darren Lewis. Now it's an outside play. Watch number 20 on his block right here. Just take him off his feet and clear the way for Darren Lewis to go in the end zone.
Josh Arnold was on the receiving end of that block from Wilson. The extra point added by Lane Talbot. And it's 14-7 for the Aggies with a minute 17 left in the first quarter.
Here's another look. Looks like it's going to be an inside play. And all of a sudden, Darren Lewis takes it outside, follows the block of number 66, Mike Pappas, and the block of Robert Wilson to get in the end zone. Watch both backs work together here. Here's the ball. Now get on Robert Wilson's hip and don't leave it until he makes the block. There's the block. Cut up inside. You're home free into the blue end zone. Now BYU has to answer the challenge. Again, like they did the last time.
What's up, Big Mike?
Is he talking to me?
Yes, Big Mike. He is the all-time leading rusher in Southwest Conference history. Moved past Eric Dickerson earlier this season. Terry Venetoulias handles the kickoffs. He's a redshirt freshman from Deer Park, Texas. Short kick returned out to the 41-yard line by Scott Charlton. An extraordinary season of college football madness continues. And it's live on New Year's Day. The Mazda Gator Bowl, as number 12 Michigan takes on number 15 Mississippi. That's at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Michigan and Mississippi, the first time those two teams will have met.
Big Ten, the SEC, be a good game. Good battle.
Movement and contact in the line.
As I said earlier, you have to, Ty Detmer, you know they're going to blitz, and they've been blitzing, then change your cadence and go on different sounds and draw them off sides and pick up an easy 5. And that's what he's able to do here on first down.
It was John Miller who jumped across.
Dead ball. Offside. Defense. 5 yards.
R.C. Slocum was an assistant coach at A&M for 16 years. Before he got the opportunity to serve as the head coach, he took over for Jackie Sherrill.
BYU's flexing the tight end to try to get more movement and get him on a strong safety.
Solito. Thomas pursued the play from the other end of the line and caught Solito at midfield about a yard short of a first down.
William Thomas is so quick. Watch number 11 here. He's going to play pass first. He's after Ty Detmer. All of a sudden, he sees the ball given. Now he's able to change direction. Such a good athlete. Avoid some feet, avoid some blocks, and then make the play. Good athlete.
And a consensus first-team All-Southwest Conference selection this year.
They had to try to recruit, when they recruited him as a quarterback to play there, and then when Jackie Sherrill saw he wasn't going to be a quarterback, then they had to re-recruit him to go over to defense to play free safety, then they had to recruit him to go play the linebacker position.
Flag down on the play. If it stands, it's a first down for Ty Detmer and BYU at the 43 of Texas A&M.
Tackle made by number 8, Ramsey Blackberry. Penalty flag in the play.
I think what you'll see during this ball game, somewhere along the line. There we go, shift. Offense, 5 yards from the previous spot. Repeat, third down. Is the same formation you saw there, no backs and a quarterback draw, because all this man coverage, there's nobody on the quarterback, so eventually we'll see that quarterback draw. I think what happened there is 2 people were moving at the same time, and that's why they got the penalty of 5 yards. The motion man and somebody else was moving also.
The Cougars do not have to run another play, but they do snap it with 3 seconds left in the quarter. Chris Smith, the catch, couldn't get the first down yardage as Larry Horton, the safety, came up to put the hit on it. That is the end of the first quarter with the score, Texas A&M 14 and BYU 7.
Remind you of anybody's face?
Oh, that's cruel.
Hey, where is Harold anyway? I haven't seen him all week. Maybe his face exploded.
Why doesn't somebody tell him?
Like what? You should do something about your zits? I don't know. Maybe like slip him some Clearasil.
Clearasil BP Plus is a benzoyl peroxide treatment that fights bacteria and reduces acne pimples for a noticeable improvement in just 5 days.
He's back.
Harold?
Someone must have told him.
If you're not satisfied with Clearasil BP Plus in 5 days, we'll give you your money back.
After a fast-paced opening quarter, it's Texas A&M 14 and BYU 7. The second quarter begins with BYU looking at third down and almost 2 from its own 49-yard line.
Well, most teams in college football, 3rd and 2 is a running play. This is a pass situation for them.
Move into the line. Flags fly. The pass is complete for a first down, but the penalty might get them an extra yard if it is against A&M. Andy Boyce on the receiving end of the toss from Detmer.
Well, again, he's using that staggered cadence count, and he's drawn Texas A&M off sides because Texas A&M's so anxious to make the play on the pass rush. Offside, defense, 5 yards, first down. One thing this will help against the pass rush because you'll get them to a particular point where they won't come. They'll start sitting back a little bit. See, as a defensive player, you're supposed to watch the ball. When the ball snaps, you go. But sometimes you get to the rhythm of the quarterback. If he calls on the same sound all the time, everybody starts to play the game together. But when he starts to stagger it, that's when you have a problem. You got to watch that football. I didn't know Bart graduated from BYU.
Yes, apparently he did.
your favorite character.
It is. Well, maybe Homer went to Texas A&M. Blitz. Detmer taken down. Again, it's William Thomas. Back at the 41-yard line of BYU.
Well, from the opening, we said William Thomas was going to be somebody that's going to be after Ty Detmer the whole ball game. He's the pass rusher. Watch number 11 against the tackle. Number 76, Neil Ford. He can't handle him because of his quickness, and then with the delay in Ty Detmer throwing, that's when William Thomas was able to make the play. You saw him trying to strip the football, which he's taught well to try to do by the defensive coaches. Neil Ford's going to have to take a little bit deeper angle to get on William Thomas a little quicker.
And you'll see William Thomas in the Senior Bowl here on ESPN January 19th from Mobile, Alabama. On 2nd and 23. Detmer into traffic. It is caught. Matsuzaki held onto it. He was hit simultaneously by at least 2 Aggies. There were 4 white shirts in the neighborhood.
Ty Detmer's trying to get a lot of time. He knows he's got to pick up a lot of yardage, and he puts the ball out there a little bit soft, and you see the break by number 3. Derek Frazier on the play. The ball just hung up a little too long. He didn't have a lot on it because he was running to his left and had to throw across his body.
That picked up 12. Still 3rd down and 11 for BYU.
Boy, A&M still pressuring on every play. The quarterback draw.
Here comes the blitz. Detmer looking for Charlton. It is caught. They'll spot him down inside the 1. There is a flag down at the 6-yard line. The A&M player celebrating. Perhaps Charlton pushed off.
Touching. Receiver went out of bounds on his own. Was first to touch the ball. Lost the down. Fourth down.
Well, he wasn't forced out of bounds. He went out on his own. He was probably, as he come out of the backfield, probably got too close to the sideline. Didn't know where he was at. Stepped out of bounds, which made him an illegal receiver coming back in. Very good pressure by William Thomas.
And a disappointed Scott Charlton and fandom of BYU watching the replay here at Jack Murphy Stadium.
One thing BYU is going to have to do, they're going to have to play action at William Thomas to control him rather than roll away from him because he's so dangerous coming from the backside.
Earl Kaufman handles the high snap. He was the first team all-WAC punter. Shane Garrett the catch at the 10-yard line. A 38-yard punt and no return. The Aggies get the ball back, leading by 7.
Are you still living with this nightmare? Over 1 million motorists have said never again. They've switched to Triple Edge, the world's first high-tech windshield wiper. It clears, it cleans, it wipes dry, all in a single pass. And Triple Edge wipers won't tear, dry rot, or freeze to your windshield. They're made from DuPont Nordell, used in radial tires. So strong that if they ever fail, we'll replace them free. Triple Edge gives you visibility through the heaviest downpour. It whisks away snow and ice. Even mud is no match for Triple Edge. They're $29.95 a pair. Custom fit to install in seconds. No noise, no streaking, no smearing, no tearing. They're the last windshield wipers you'll ever buy.
Call toll-free 1-800-543-1007 or send $29.95 plus $4.95 shipping and handling to Triple Edge Wipers, P.O. Box 747, Station A, Department 126, Downsview, Ontario.
And in San Diego Harbor, you're looking at the USS Independence, just back from the Persian Gulf. And on this night of holiday celebration, certainly our thoughts are with the gentlemen and ladies who are still serving our country in the Persian Gulf. Bucky Richardson taken out by Fatisa Manu at the 16-yard line after a gain of 6.
Sean, when you prepare for a bowl game, one of the most difficult things to do is you get all the films or tapes of the 11 games that each team plays, so you have to really decide how you want to do it. As you see the A&M coaches right here, R.C. Slocum They looked at the Oregon film the most because Oregon beat BYU 32-16, but Bob Toledo was a member of that staff before coming to A&M. So they talked to their coaches, and they spent a lot of time watching that particular film.
Wilson bounced off the pile and got close to a first down. He appears to be just shy of the 20 and just shy of first down yardage. Here's Neil.
All right, just down here on the BYU sideline over here next to Ty Detmer. He really took a shot the first play of the last series, you guys, on his left non-throwing shoulder. Really shaking up. Both Robbie Bosco, the quarterback coach, and the trainers came over. We're going to take him in for x-rays, but they decided not to. He's feeling better, but keep an eye on him. He's awfully shaken up. He took a shot down here on ground level.
On 3rd and short, the Aggies pick up the first down. Needed to get the nose of the football to the 20, and Bucky Richardson did better than that.
Well, one benefit for Ty Detmer is the fact that Robbie Bosco, the quarterback coach, he's been in this game. He's been in different type situations, so he's like his security blanket on the sideline. He's somebody he can go to talk to. Bucky Richardson, you see right here, took over in the Houston game, adds that dimension of running the football in this offense. Lance Pavlis started the season more of a passing quarterback. Bucky now gives them the option game, the running game, but also I think is underrated as a passer. I think he's a good passer.
And we've seen that already. Cornelius Patterson was the man in motion. Darren Lewis. First down, Texas A&M, as Lewis picks up 13 yards out to the 33.
Just an isolation play. When I talk about isolation play for the fans, what you get is you get a double team between the center and the guard on number 91. See them both double him. That leaves the fullback then to block on the linebacker. And you saw the center come off on the backside linebacker. A lot of times they'll combination blocks. Watch again the second look here of the center. Watch them both block on Smith. Now watch the center come off on the linebacker. Excellent job of blocking. Darren Lewis reads it, splits the block. Good yardage.
And they tacked a 5-yard face mask penalty on to the end of the run. So the ball now out at the 38-yard line, first down, A&M leading 14-7 with 11:18 left in the second quarter. Richardson crossed the 40 and went down at the 42. Scott Giles made the tackle.
They're running that U formation or Frisco formation that Bill Walsh established at San Francisco. And what that does by putting the two tight ends together, it creates one more gap for the defense to control. And BYU has to make an adjustment at that point of attack to try to help their defensive end because they're one man short over there right now. Here's an unbalanced situation to the field.
And they head in that direction. Again, Richardson keeps. He has the first down at midfield. 10:32 left in the first half. 14-7 in favor of Texas A&M. If you're just joining us, here is the storyline from San Diego to this point. Rushing yards now dramatically in favor of the Aggies. Ty Detmer off to his usual strong start at 7 for 10. He has one interception to go along with that touchdown. And I think the big number for A&M is the bottom of the screen. The time of possession, nearly double that of the Cougars. Lewis into BYU territory and down at the 47-yard line.
Where Texas A&M is doing a good job right now, their offensive coordinator, Bob Toledo, who played at San Francisco State, he was a quarterback under Vic Rowan, a great coach out there on the coast. What they're doing is basic sound running game, but they're showing them a lot of formations, a lot of unbalanced line. Then they'll come out with 3 receivers to one side, but still just pounding away at the defensive front of BYU, causing them, because of a lot of formations, making a lot of adjustments. There's Bob Toledo right there. He was an outstanding quarterback. His father just got out of the hospital, Manuel, and I know I'd like to say hello to him.
Lewis down at the 42. You mentioned the transition from Lance Pavlis to Bucky Richardson. Consequently, the transition from a pro-style offensive attack to this option game. Bob Toledo said it was the greatest challenge of his coaching career. You must know from your experience very tough to change your whole offensive scheme in midseason.
Well, it is. What you try to do is you try to play to the talent you have. Sometimes you know, it's the old saying, you play the cards that are dealt, and you have to make some adjustments and you have to make some changes. Here you see him working on Ty Detmer on the sideline, but Bob Toledo was able to take an offense where he is an excellent passing coach, but he's taken a team and now made them an option type team in midstream.
Third down, play action. Richardson runs away from Arnold, man open. Shane Kroll, the fourth string tight end, down at the 8-yard line. That is just the second catch of his career for Shane Kroll, the senior from Gainesville, Texas.
Third and short, brought everybody in tight. Watch the fake by Bucky Richardson. Excellent fake to Robert Wilson. Now he comes out, he's under pressure from a corner blitz. Josh Arnold throws the football to Shane Kroll, way behind the defender. Brian Mitchell makes the play, makes the catch. Now we're on the 8-yard line. But again, a good call by Bob Toledo. Third and short, bring them all in tight. You expect to run. Good play action pass. Bucky Richardson again, underrated as a passer. Under pressure, threw a good throw.
And Kroll only playing because Derek Ware, normally the backup tight end, is out of this game for disciplinary reasons. Lewis spins down near the 5. Chad Hansen, the tackler.
This is another area of the field where Texas A&M likes to throw the play action to the tight end. 6-yard line, on in. Darren Lewis with 13 rushes, 64 yards, 1 touchdown. Reason I like Robert Wilson so well is he's also done a good job running the football, but he's leading all those 13 rushes right now and leading and blocking.
Second and goal from the 6. Texas A&M leads 14-7. Richardson, touchdown. Little bit of trickery from the Aggies.
Lance Pavlis come in, the quarterback, and they moved Bucky Richardson. Gave him the football on a power sweep. 2 quarterbacks in the game. And he fouled Robert Wilson and Darren Lewis in the end zone. Watch this. Here's Lance Pavlis taking the snap. Now to Bucky Richardson. He's going to foul those 2. Watch the block again of Robert Wilson. See how he keeps his feet, makes that block? Okay, outstanding. How many quarterbacks do you know? Tom Matty. That's one that comes to mind right away that could have did that.
Talbot adds the extra point. 7:41 left till halftime. 21-7 A&M.
Catch the fire on Molson's, the NHL tonight. TSN's got the hottest game on ice. It's freewheeling, hard-hitting, action-packed excitement with the National Hockey League's best. You'll see more action on TV's best NHL schedule. Feel the heat. Molson's, the NHL tonight. Hard-hitting, do-or-die hockey is on tap as the Leafs battle back in the North Division. And the North Stars are their first hurdle. Toronto meets Minnesota Thursday, 8:30 Eastern. The NHL tonight on TSN.
The touchdown by Bucky Richardson, the junior from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, gives Texas A&M a 21-7 lead over BYU midway through the second quarter. Now it's time for the U.S. Army Student Athlete of the Game, brought to you by the U.S. Army. Andy Boyce is our student of the game. He is a 3.5 GPA student in advertising and public relations. He's interested in sports broadcasting when his playing days are over. He spoke yesterday at the kickoff luncheon. I think he's gunning for your job, or mine. He was most articulate.
I think he's going for yours.
Wayne Talbot to kick it away. It bounces through to Stacy Corley. And he's down at the 23.
Let's take a look at the touchdown play. Watch number 20 right here. This is going to be an option. Here's Bucky Richardson. Here's Lance Pavlis. He's going to come back, hand the ball off. Now it's going to be an option between those 2 people. Robert Wilson's going to go block. Now this is an option play all the way. Watch this. Lance Pavlis comes back, gives the ball to Bucky Richardson. Here's the option on number 20. He takes the pitch man. He runs the option up for a touchdown. Good play call. And it's easy to run those kind of plays when you've got different formations and you're forcing them into a separate defensive set.
Detmer, here comes Thomas. Throws it backward. Caught by the lineman, Neil Fort. And Detmer
He's hurt.
Needs to be helped up. And that left shoulder is hanging down.
Well, as I said before, they have to take the football to William Thomas. You see William Thomas, he's going to beat Neil Fort almost every time on quickness. And see, bears down, makes the play. Here's another look at the hit. But you would be better running at William Thomas with the play fakes and try to hold him so he's not coming from the backside. He's so quick. His size at 195 pounds, you go at him. Here's Robbie Bosco getting Joe Evans ready in case he has to go into the ball game.
The play stands. The pass was backward. Tui Pelotu picks up just one. Tripped up by John Miller, the nose guard. When the season started, the defensive front was the concern for the Aggies on that side of the ball, but Miller and Jones and Black have played very well.
Jackie Sherrill did a great job recruiting. A lot of these players were recruited when Jackie was at Texas A&M, and of course RC as an assistant did a lot of the recruiting. And now Jackie Sherrill, now the head coach of Mississippi State. Watch him, he'll go in there, do well, recruit well, and get some fine players there. But a lot of these players were recruited under his system.
Third down 20. This time a four-man rush. Detmer going deep. Incomplete. Intended for Dredge. Two Aggies there in coverage.
When you see a deep ball thrown like that against man coverage, sometimes the toughest things when he underthrows it and the receiver can come back and puts a defensive secondary man in such a bind. I don't think Ty Detmer's getting a lot on the ball right here. Again, good coverage by Larry Horton, almost an interception.
This is the first 3 plays and out for either side. Kaufman has it snapped over his head, and he bats it through the back of the end zone.
They did a wise thing there, Sean, because you don't want that ball recovered for a touchdown, so that's why he batted it out. It'd take the 2 points and now the punt from the 20-yard line, but you always tell your kicker on any snap where it's ever questionable, knock it out of the end zone any way you can. We'll take 2 and try to regroup, but we don't want that to be recovered for a touchdown. Ty Detmer's leaving the field. He's hurt. They're going to take a look at him in the locker room. We'll see Joe Evans. Here's the snap, Sean. It's just high. Way over his head. He tried to come up with one hand to control it. Here you see him bat it out of the end zone. That's what he's taught. Get rid of it. Get it out of the end zone.
Bruce Jenny, the long snapper. Kaufman couldn't get up and get it, and he's understandably frustrated.
What that'll help now for A&M is they'll get good field position. They should get good field position on this kick from the 20-yard line.
23-7 now in favor of Texas A&M. Still 5:50 left in the first half.
I think what A&M's done on defense is settled down a little bit more. I talked to Bob Davie the other day. Bob Davie played at Youngstown State University for Ray Dempsey. And when he got ready for this game, that you have 3 weeks to get ready for this game, more time than you ever have to get ready for a football game. And sometimes the tendency is to do too much. And I think early they were trying to do too much. Now they settled into a scheme. They feel they have a beat on BYU now, so they're just trying to play some basic defenses now and occasionally put some pressure on him. But as long as William Thomas is allowed to come from the backside, it's going to pose a problem for the quarterback.
Now, you coached against BYU while you were at Pittsburgh. Do you agree with the apparent philosophy of Texas A&M that the best way to play this passing attack is to blitz regularly?
Well, I don't know if you can, like I said earlier, as a defensive coach, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. You live by the blitz, you die by it. But you have to change up, and you have to show them a lot of different looks. Here's a mistake by Shane Garrett.
And he makes up for it by covering the free ball back at the 25-yard line. That's about as well as the Cougars could have hoped to come out of this free kick.
Well, really, he made a big mistake there. He should have caught the ball, but he was smart enough to get on the football and recovered, because if they'd have got that ball, that'd been first down for BYU.
Here's Neil Lomax.
Well, I've been in this situation many times where I get my shoulder dinged on. You know, Ty just went in, have his shoulder x-rayed. Joe Evans here is warming up, and not a lot of playing time this year. One of the mistakes I think BYU made this year, Mike and Sean, leaving Ty in the fourth quarter to kind of run up his numbers a little bit. not giving him the time that he needs. So we'll give you some updates on Ty's status when he comes out of the locker room.
I didn't expect Neil here tonight. I figured with all the quarterbacks going down the NFL, somebody to call him.
Lewis got the call on first down. Brian Mitchell took him down. Joe Evans appeared in 5 games in relief of Ty Detmer this year. Texas A&M starting to dominate the football game.
You can run the football successfully like they have done and play good defense when you're on the road to accomplishing what you want to do.
2nd and 5. Wilson, great cutback. First down out to the 39-yard line. Derwin Gray tripped him up. He was the last line of defense for BYU.
Robert Wilson, who's an excellent blocker, gets good blocking here from his offensive right side of the line. You seen the stunt right there between the tackle and in. Number 49 stunted right out of the play, Eddie Green. And that allowed the cutback of Robert Wilson to pick up good yardage. Here's that formation again. Bill Walsh made famous at San Francisco, stretching the defense.
The option with Richardson. Flag thrown in the middle of the line. If the play stands, it's a first down for Texas A&M at the 47 of BYU. But there is a flag back at the line of scrimmage.
I think you're going to get a holding here. BYU defensively.
Personal foul, tripping, offense, 15 yards from the spot of the foul, repeat the down.
A lot of times what happens on that particular play in R.C. Slocum, when a defensive player is about to make a play and a lineman's on the ground, sometimes they'll lift his leg and trip him, and that's probably what happened on that particular play. The point I was going to make about BYU's defense, they play in a league that they throw the football. The rushing team in that league now is Colorado State along with the Air Force, but most of the teams are pass teams and they drive you crazy defensively. And even their own team in the spring, they're playing against the pass all the time. It's the first team they've seen, a 2-back high team. It's a power running team and an option team, so it's going to give them some problems.
BYU is second nationally in rushing defense, but that's because, as Mike said, they don't play many rushing teams. Richardson airs it out. Cornelius Patterson. Caught from behind by Josh Arnold at the 21-yard line.
Boy, when you talk about quarterbacks, and again, you say he can't throw the football. I'll tell you what, I watched him yesterday in practice. I'll tell you, he can throw the football. Play action pass, he's going to catch Cornelius Patterson. You see him coming down the field on a post route. And again, when you're running the ball successfully, that opens up the play action passing game. Cornelius has got great speed from Moss Point, Mississippi.
He's a senior, great athlete. Played on the A&M baseball team this spring, ran track in the spring of '89, caught 8 balls during the regular season for an average of 19 yards per catch. That one goes for 55. Bucky Richardson now 6 of 6 for 132 yards. Lewis taken down at the line of scrimmage. Eddie Green made the first hit. For an update on Ty Detmer, here's Neil.
All right, guys, it's happened to me about 3 or 4 times in my career. Ty Detmer does have a separated AC joint. It is on his non-throwing shoulder. He can play, but I don't think he's going to. And add insult to injury to that, Matt Bellini is definitely out. He's really hurting with that ankle injury. He has a special-made brace for his ankle. Costs about $600, but his pain threshold right now, you just can't get out there and run those routes.
Boy, it puts them in a big bind here offensively when you lose those 2 players.
Pass back to the quarterback. Richardson is wide open. Touchdown A&M.
And what you have now, BYU's demoralized. They know Ty Detmer's hurt also. Defensively, they've got to pick it up a notch. And when you have your leader, Ty Detmer, and Matt Bellini hurt, it has a tremendous effect on your football team.
Talbot sneaks it through. We didn't expect the razzle-dazzle from the Aggies. We expected it from the Cougars. But everything the Aggies have tried has worked, and they lead 30-7 on the touchdown pass from Lewis to Richardson.
Captain Nibbler to the rescue with new cheese nibblers from McCain, the delicious, nutritious snack that satisfies your sudden hunger as only the taste of real cheese can. McCain makes nibblers from 100% cheddar, mozzarella, Monterey marble cheese in convenient single snacks and multi-packs. So when you feel a snack attack coming on, grab a McCain cheese nibbler.
3:27 left till halftime. 30-7 is the score now in favor of Texas A&M. The Aggies have run off 23 unanswered points. Scott Charlton and Stacy Corley wait for the kickoff. From Lane Talbot. Corley from the 10. Out to the 25. Let's check in with Tim Brando.
All right, Sean, thank you. Right now, Oregon and Colorado State are tied at 7. Bill Musgrave has a 16-yard touchdown pass to Anthony Jones in that game. Coming up at halftime, Lee Corso will be by my side. We'll take a look at the Peach Bowl game played earlier today. We'll also talk about the weekend that's following. Right now, let's get back to Sean and Mike.
Thank you, Tim.
Sean, they can get back in this game. I tell you, systems makes quarterbacks sometimes, so I'm anxious to see what Joe Evans is going to do because they've got a great system here, but they need to control number 11, William Thomas.
Evans hands it off on his first play. Mike Solito out to the 28-yard line for a gain of 3. Joe Evans is a junior. Then here comes Ty Detmer, as you was just starting to say.
Back on the field, and the competitor in him is going to bring him back on here, which will bring this crowd to their feet also. But they either have to do one of two things. They either have to play action at William Thomas, or they've got to put the tight end over there to block him, because they cannot let him run free like he has this first half. He has controlled the passing game.
Detmer 8 of 12, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Throws nearly intercepted. Larry Horton should have picked that off.
On this play, BYU brings a man in motion to crack back on William Thomas, which gets Ty Detmer outside. He just underthrows this ball, and it should have been intercepted by Larry Horton.
Mike, the one criticism you hear more than any other about Ty Detmer is that sometimes he forces things. He tries to make a play on every play when he'd be better off sometimes eating the ball. I think we saw that on his first interception when he was in the grasp and still tried to throw it. That was another ball that he tried to force into coverage. Detmer lofts it. Flag flies. Little question about the call. Andy Boyce was being bounced around by Kevin Smith.
Pass interference, defense, 15 yards from the previous spot, first down.
A&M's coming with a 46 defense, the defense the Chicago Bears made famous, and you see him holding on to the jersey right here. A pass interference about 3 times there, not just once, but the corner routes will open because you got one-on-one coverage against the wide receivers because they're going to the 8-man front, blitzing people, trying to put pressure on Ty Detmer. They feel like they've got Ty Detmer shook up a little bit, so they're going to try to keep coming after him and not allow him a lot of time to get rhythm and to get back in this football game. But where that does help BYU is it isolates those corners on those wide receivers and could create a big play for Ty Detmer here before half.
Flag down. Detmer. What a great play to get it off to Solito. And he's close to a first down, about a yard short, as they'll mark him at the 48 of Texas A&M. Flag down, thrown as the ball was snapped.
So you got to admire Ty Detmer, the guts of this kid and what he has accomplished He drew him offside again with his play cadence call again. But he's dangerous again when he's moving. When you get him trapped and he starts to move, he becomes very, very dangerous. He has to turn this penalty down.
Offside, defense, penalty is declined. Second down.
Watch the right side of your screen right here. Watch Ty Detmer go back and set up. There's again, the cadence. Here comes the linebacker blitzing. That opens up the corner routes. Here he avoids that play. Well, you don't like to see that ball moving around like that and all that traffic because they'll strip him of the ball.
They'll take the 2nd and 1 instead of the 1st and 5. Blitz picked up beautifully, and it is nearly intercepted. Ramsey Bradbury, the junior from Richardson, Texas, might have been looking at all that green grass ahead of him instead of at the football.
I think, again, and I've said it before, I think what they're going to have to do is roll and move toward William Thomas. The blitz of the inside linebackers, if they drop him straight back, watch him on this replay, watch him as he drops back, watch an inside linebacker pop through. It's picked up and blocked, but they're putting so much pressure on him. Here's the pass, and they played the route. They played the adjustment. Anthony Williams on the blitz was picked up, almost intercepted by Ramsey Bradbury.
Now 3rd and 1. Minute 54 left in the half. BYU has all 3 of its timeouts remaining. Salido gets the first down. He's down to the 42-yard line. Mike Salido, senior from Union City, California.
Good play call by Norm Chow. He knows he's got a team that's staggered a little bit. It's like in a boxing match. They've been staggered. They're all over the mat. They don't want to get knocked out here in the first half of this ball game. So a good call there. Settles the team down, picks up the first down. You got A&M's just over-aggressive trying to rush the passer right now.
Coming up at halftime, the story of Chad Moffitt, a BYU player who is serving a church mission this year in rural Mexico. We'll also talk live with Billy Brewer, coach of Mississippi. That pass intended for Brent Nyberg, incomplete. In addition, at halftime, we'll have a closer look at the story of Darren Lewis, one of 5 5,000-yard career rushers in NCAA football history, and he is the only one of the 5 not to win the Heisman Trophy.
I think to win the Heisman Trophy, most of the time your junior year's got to be a productive year. He was hurt in his junior year and didn't get to play in the bowl game, but has come back and had a great year for Texas A&M. One of the problems in the bowl situations, you never realize which team's going to come to play. And in BYU's case, they played this game so much that it's hard for them to focus.
Detmer looking for Boyce. He nearly made a great play to adjust to the ball. Larry Horton and Kevin Smith on the coverage. And Boyce got up looking at the official, hoping for a call. But again, that's a ball that's thrown up for grabs.
He puts it up, and again, it's a route where it was adjusted by Andy Boyce on the outside, and it was underthrown a little bit, which is to the receiver's benefit if he can come back and make the play on that particular ball.
The Virgin Atlantic Airways Lightship is proud to carry this message, supporting all of our military women and men who are spending their holiday in the Middle East. Our hearts are with you. Detmer throws, Boyce the catch, close to first down yardage. First catch for Andy Boyce. Again, Larry Horton and Kevin Smith were in the neighborhood. Smith made the tackle, and they'll stop the clock as they ascertain whether that is a first down. They've also stopped the clock as BYU has called timeout.
Sean, Ty Detmer's hit 7 different receivers already tonight in the first half.
They've asked for the stadium timekeeper to reset the clock to 1:15, and that has happened. The clock had ticked down to 1:09. Timeout BYU. The Cougars trail by 23.
Have you ever thought you could call the plays in a live football game? Well, you can with QB1. You'll be linked to the North American QB1 network live, head-to-head action with opposition on and off the field. Test your knowledge of pro football and call the plays yourself. QB1. Compete for prizes in 185 licensed locations across Canada. For a location near you, call 1-800-661 play. It's a brand new year, and it's always a tradition. The Michigan Wolverines take on Ole Miss in the Gator Bowl. Then the live action continues as the Canadian Juniors take on the Finns in the World Championship. From the juniors to the midgets, TSN has the championship game from the Max Midget Hockey Tournament. TSN has live college football, the World Junior Championship and the Max Midget Championship. New Year's Day on TSN.
Texas A&M with a 30-7 lead over BYU. Bear in mind that earlier this year, BYU trailed Washington State 29-7 at the half and came back to win that football game. Big play here for the Cougars, 4th and 1. Detmer trying to draw them offside.
I think his player jumped. I think the left guard jumped on offense. And I think that was a design play to try to draw them off sides, which the left guard should not have moved.
Dead ball. False start. Offense. Timer, please put 1:15 on the clock.
Well, certainly, Mike, everybody in the huddle had to be aware that this is what Ty was going to try to do.
Well, it was, and I don't think he had a design play, although he did take the snap, and I think he was going to run it as long as he possibly could, and the left guard moved. And again, that's not something you want in this particular situation, but they have to go for it. Watch Andy Boyce here. He's hit him 2 times on this particular drive, and I look for him to go to Andy Boyce on this series, this play.
Now it's 4th and 6. Here comes the blitz. Detmer in big trouble. And he's down back at the 29-yard line. Quentin Coriat throw him for the loss of 32.
Well, the Hounds are after the Fox on that one. I'll tell you, great speed by A&M. And again, they know they've got him in a situation after the penalty where he has to throw. See number 9, Marcus Buckley chasing him. Here comes Quentin Coriat chasing him. William Thomas coming from the backside. But Ty Detmer had to throw that ball away, because now he set them up with a chance to get a field goal. Flag on the field also.
Unsportsmanlike. Texas A&M, it'll be 1st and 25.
After the play was dead, a dead ball foul, which means A&M keeps the football. They'll just back it up 15 yards. But again, Ty Detmer, experienced quarterback as he is, with Buckley chasing him, needed to throw the ball away.
And apparently Derek Frazier guilty of the unsportsmanlike conduct as he celebrated in the vicinity of Micah Matsuzaki. Marcus Buckley was a little bit slow to get up. He was one of those in pursuit of Detmer, but he walked off under his own power. 1st and 25 for R.C. Slocum and the Aggies. From the 45-yard line of BYU with 1:05 left in the first half, and A&M has all 3 of its timeouts remaining.
That's what I was going to say. A&M's done a good job with the clock and the 3 timeouts. They've got a lot of time to get down there and score again.
Richardson underneath, incomplete. He was looking for the tight end, Dennis Ransom.
Big tight end, 6'4", 262 pounds. I think I'd come back if I was A&M, try to get the ball to either Robert Wilson or Darren Lewis. Let him run the football, see if he can get down there in field goal range on 2nd down. Figure they expect a pass right here, try to spring somebody up inside.
That was the first incompletion for Bucky Richardson. 2nd and 25 with 1 minute to go in the first half. Oliver. First down, A&M at the 15-yard line. Irvin Lee made the touchdown-saving tackle after a gain of 30.
Boy, what a nice route by Gary Oliver, number 40. You see Bucky Richardson, 1 back set now. They got BYU spread out. He looks off and then comes back to the post pattern to Gary Oliver. Here you see the route. Watch Gary Oliver go down, plant, up the football field, a skinny post, runs right by Irwin Lee. Good position, uses his body, makes the catch. A&M uses a timeout. They still have 2 left with 55 seconds.
That's 3 catches now for Gary Oliver. Coming up at the half with Tim Brando and Lee Corso. The Chad Moffitt story. He is one of the BYU players who is spending this year as a church missionary. He's in rural Mexico. We'll talk live with Mississippi's Billy Brewer, get his thoughts about the upcoming matchup in the Mazda Gator Bowl with Michigan, and a profile of Darren Lewis, the all-time leading rusher in Southwest Conference history.
You know, both teams, while they're out here in San Diego, are recruiting hard. When you see Ty Detmer sitting here, he knows he's got to bring this ball club back. And we saw earlier Tim Cassidy from Texas A&M uses a phone. He's phoning all the recruits on the sideline, and he's a recruiting coordinator. On the other side, Chris Pella is the recruiting coordinator, but he's also the special teams coach. So I talked to him. I said, do you have your phone? He said, no, I'm at a disadvantage. I got a coach, but he said, occasionally I run back and use the phone in the pay phone. So he said, I tell him I'm on a cellular. Different recruiting budgets.
1st and 10 from the 15. Richardson for Wilson. Couldn't hang on. Tried to make a nice over-the-shoulder catch. Scott Giles had the coverage for the Cougars. Flag down to the play and a holding call going against Texas A&M.
Here you see Bucky Richardson set up. He's going to try to hit Robert Wilson out of the backfield against the linebacker. Well-thrown football. Just off the fingertips. Scott Giles on the coverage. He's talking about recruiting. They're both recruiting a quarterback here named Matt Miller.
Bowling, offense, 10 yards for the previous spot. Repeat, first down.
One of the highest recruited quarterbacks in the country. Plays at Mount Carmel High School here in San Diego. The interesting thing, his father's Les Miller, who was the former personnel director at the Kansas City Chiefs, now works for the World League Football. An outstanding man, and both these teams, they're probably both trying to call the number at the same time and stay in business.
Well, hopefully his call waiting. Richardson under pressure. Now has lots of running room. Nice move at the 10 to get 5 more. He gets up looking at the sideline, wondering if he should use a timeout, and he will. That'll leave A&M with 1 timeout remaining.
45, Rocky Beagle on the stop.
Watch Bucky Richardson, who's having a great first half. You see the stunt by BYU. They ran a stunt with a defensive lineman twisting. And the linebackers and secondaries in coverage, and you see how well Bucky Richardson makes cuts and moves down the football field and puts them in great field position on the 5-yard line.
Bottom of the 9th. Full count. Runners in scoring position. Last minute to play in the game. 3rd and long with seconds to play. A Hail Mary to beat the buzzer. The birdie putt for the championship. The sprint for the finish. It's all here. TSN, Real TV.
What timing on the part of our folks on the truck? We talk about the lack of Warren Moon, but there's the moon over San Diego.
They're the greatest.
That's from the House of Pain tomorrow night, 8 Eastern time. Nice to see that moon. It was a cloudy day with on and off rain here in San Diego. The skies began to clear late in the afternoon. It's a nice night for football, a bit on the cool side.
Watch some kind of sprint out to the right.
On 2nd and 1. Richardson throws. Touchdown, Shane Garrett.
I bet they'll be making a lot of calls at halftime for this lead. Sprint out pass to the right, and they brought Shane Garrett back against the flow. Found him in the end zone for the score.
Lane Talbot trying to make it 37-7. And he does. We have a further update on Ty Detmer. As Neil Lomax reported, he does have a separation of his left shoulder. The doctors who looked at him felt he could play, although it would be in pain. And he will be re-examined at halftime.
Let's take a look at the touchdown. Watch Bucky Richardson sprint to the right. Now you'll see on the screen Shane Garrett. There he comes across the green. All the other receivers are to the right. Again, a good strong throw by Bucky Richardson. You see the motion man, Shane Garrett. Here's the flow. Throw back. Irwin Lee pressuring him, almost makes the play. Shane Garrett all the way across from the other side of the field.
And Bucky Richardson has now run for a touchdown, caught a touchdown pass, and thrown a touchdown pass.
He's having a big-time half. A&M's going to worry about whether they got enough ammunition for the cannon over there.
Still 31 seconds left in the half, and BYU does have 2 timeouts remaining. Talbot squibs it. And the ball returned to the 37-yard line by Tao Harrington. After the big sack of Denver on 4th down, it did not take the Aggies long. 4 plays, 45 yards, just 34 seconds. Garrett on the receiving end of the 6-yard pass from Bucky Richardson.
I think if you're Lavelle Edwards, you just want to get into halftime now and just get everybody settled down a little bit, figure out what you can do and health-wise who you have to come out and play the second half and try to come back in this football game. They're a powerful offensive football team. They put a lot of numbers on the board.
Detmer underneath, complete for an 8-yard gain out near the 45-yard line. Matt Zundel, the backup tight end, made the catch. Cougars did not use one of their 2 timeouts. Now on the ground with Peter Tuipulotu.
Let's try to use one right now.
They better hurry. They get the timeout with 1 second left and the ball at the 41-yard line of Texas A&M.
Well, they got the timeout because they got the first down, so they had to move the sticks. So they're going to still use their timeout and try to throw one into the end zone. Been a rough first half for Ty Detmer.
Now, even though the separation is of his left shoulder, it still has to affect his throwing. He's not feeling well, obviously, physically.
I think when you couple that with the fact that Matt Bellini, who I think is the inspiration and the heart of this football team, has played only 2 or 3 plays in this ball game, it puts you at a tremendous disadvantage. The fact that A&M is just pounding the ball and controlling it on offense and just relentlessly pass rushing him is just giving him all kinds of problems in this ball game. The speed of Texas A&M.
Just a 3-man rush that time. It's thrown up for grabs in the end zone, and it falls incomplete. Brent Nyberg was the nearest Cougar. And we have reached the half. Each team scored on its first possession, and then it was all Texas A&M. R.C. Slocum heads for the dressing room with a 37-7 lead. R.C. Slocum is standing with Neil Lomax. Neil?
Well, Coach, you got to be pleased with your offense. Well, I am pleased. No, but we got a lot of ball game left. BYU is a very explosive team. We know this thing's not over yet. That's my next question. Your defense is playing very well. Are you going to change anything if Evans comes in for Ty, or are you going to change things up as Ty stays in? Well, we've got a long halftime here. We'll go in and talk it over and see. You know, we right now feel pretty good about what we're trying to do, both offensive and defensive. We know we got a lot of football left. Yeah, they do come back, and oftentimes, are you going to tell anything different to your defense about that lead they got, and you got to protect it, or anything you're going to change up? We've talked all week about this game will be a 60-minute game, and we know there's no lead good enough to feel comfortable against this team. So we just hope we can come back out with the same intensity is my biggest concern. All right, good luck second half, Coach. Thank you. Sean, Mike?
Thank you, Neil. Stay tuned for our halftime report with Tim Brando and Lee Corso at the half of the SeaWorld Holiday Bowl. A&M 37, BYU 7.
Time Life Music brings you a treasury of classics, 33 symphonic masterpieces in a spectacular new collection. The Time Life Treasury of Classics. More than 2 full hours of great music, and every selection is performed by world-renowned orchestras and conductors. 33 selections on 3 LPs, 2 double-length cassettes for $24.99, or 2 compact discs for the same price plus shipping and handling. Only from Time Life Music, the name you can trust.
To order, credit card customers call 1-800-248-9700. That's 1-800-248-9700. Or send just $24.99 for 3 albums, 2 cassettes, or 2 compact discs. plus $4 shipping and handling to Treasury of Classics, P.O. Box 600, Station R, Toronto, Ontario.
Tonight you're watching the Heisman Trophy winner Ty Detmer, and the player on the other side, Darren Lewis, on the ground, did not come away with a Heisman Trophy. It just wasn't the year for the running back, and I think Lewis was probably hurt by that. But there is no question that when the Heisman day came around, for Darren Lewis, there was obvious disappointment.
When I was growing up, you know, I used to always sit at home and watch the Heisman Trophy memorial session go on. And it was just a dream in the back of my mind that I wish I would get a chance to go to downtown New York.
At Texas A&M, Darren Lewis hoped to make that dream a reality. A solid freshman season in 1987 was capped off by a Cotton Bowl win over Notre Dame. In '88, Lewis set an A&M record with 1,692 yards rushing, and the headlines followed. Lewis was in the spotlight as a Heisman candidate. But Lewis had more than just a Heisman to think about. Back home in Dallas, his two children, Kendrick and Kiera, were his first responsibility.
You got to put your priorities in the right perspective, and that's one of the things that I've really done. You know, took care of school, took care of football. When it's time to take care of football, when it's time to sit down and be a father, then that's when I take our time to be a father. But you know, you always got time for everything.
But Lewis ran out of time last year in his pursuit of the Heisman. He fell short after an injury caused him to miss the last 2 games, and he finished with under 1,000 yards rushing. Despite a disappointing season, Lewis still had the speed to attract NFL teams. And with 2 children to support, turning pro was tempting, but he decided to stay at A&M.
You really have to have patience because, you know, the NFL is not going anywhere. It's going to be there. So the only thing you need to do is just really work hard, you know, and try to get yourself better and perform each week to your best of your ability, and then good things will happen for you.
Lewis was hoping this would be the year he could do his Heisman dance. He came through with 1,691 yards, good enough for 3rd in the nation. Over the years, he earned his nickname, the Tank, as he rolled for over 5,000 yards in his career, becoming only the 5th back in history to do so. But he was the only one of these backs not to win a Heisman.
I really think it's a shame that he did not get more Heisman consideration than what he got. I think part of that is the fact that Darren is a low-key guy, was a team player all along, and has never really been into a stat race, and we haven't as well. And for that reason, I think he did not get quite the recognition that he deserved.
It was kind of upsetting, but we know how exceptional he is, and we know he takes it well. And it's a lot of political stuff, a lot of things going on with it. But we know he's going to fight back and be the best he can be.
Darren and his teammates have plenty of incentive as they go head-to-head with the Heisman winner.
He has something to prove, but he can't go out and you know, just try to kill himself just to outdo Detmer. Gives us a little extra incentive to outdo their offense because he's the Heisman Trophy winner and he's, you know, the captain of really their offense, and he can really do well. So as an offense, we want to show that we can do better than the Heisman Trophy winner.
Regardless of his performance tonight in San Diego, Lewis is always the main event for his children.
I'm playing for somebody, you know, they're watching me, you know, and those are my main cheerleaders. So, you know, I really devote all my games to them because, you know, if it really wasn't for them, you know, I wouldn't be, you know, where I am today. You know, being the type of man that I am and the responsibility that I'm taking, you know, it makes you a man.
For the first 30 minutes at least, Lee, for Texas A&M, their mission accomplished. They have outdone the BYU offense in this ballgame.
And after watching these 2 players, I think Mike Godfrey might be right. I think Darren Lewis and Robert Wilson are the 2 best backs on the same team in college football this year.
Remember, last year, Detmer made a great statement for this year's Heisman in lieu of 600 yards against Penn State. Wilson may be doing the same thing, setting himself up for the Heisman race next year. He'll be in that backfield for A&M. Now the Freedom Bowl, we want to update you. Another touchdown pass for Bill Musgrave, this time 5 yards to Sean Burwell. It is 17-14 at the half. The Ducks leading the Rams of Colorado State and Anaheim. All right, more halftime gala taking place at the Holiday Bowl, at the SeaWorld Holiday Bowl. Back to Sean McDonough. Sean?
Back at Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego, where the stadium lights are dim for the halftime festivities. A wide-open first half of football dominated by Texas A&M. They lead 37-7 at the half. Players from both teams visited SeaWorld this week as part of the Holiday Bowl festivities. From Shamu and Baby Shamu to a noisy sea lion named Clyde, the star animals at SeaWorld had differing opinions about the outcome of tonight's game. Daryl Bruffett of KBTX in Bryan, Texas, gives us more.
Both the Cougars and Aggies found time in their hectic schedules this week to visit a San Diego landmark, SeaWorld, proud sponsor of the 1990 Holiday Bowl. Fans and players visiting the park this week found SeaWorld's famous residents evenly divided over the outcome of tonight's contest. SeaWorld's furry, feathered, and blubbery stars were split in their support of the BYU Cougars and Texas A&M Aggies. Here at SeaWorld's Sea Lion and Otter Stadium, I found a hotbed of Aggie support in the form of one very large California sea lion named Clyde. The vocal pinniped took most of an afternoon giving his game day strategy to an enthralled group of Texas A&M players and fans. But support for the Aggies' worthy opponent wasn't lacking at SeaWorld either. At more than 2 tons, the park's biggest BYU Cougar booster is also its biggest resident, Shamu himself. A SeaWorld trainer in Shamu offered a few wet words of encouragement to a boisterous group of BYU players.
Hey, Shamu, BYU's here. You're a fan of theirs, aren't you? Are you an Aggie fan at all? No. Well, hey, if these guys are Aggies, what would you do?
But baby Shamu, SeaWorld's 2-year-old star, pays little heed to the grown-ups. This little whale is all Aggie. A group of lucky Texas A&M fans was treated to an impromptu pep rally with the 2,300-pound killer whale. As you can see, SeaWorld's penguin encounter is kept pretty cold to make life comfortable for these little guys. But as I found today, the reception for the BYU Cougars was also pretty chilly. Hey, Guy, are you a BYU fan? Well, there you have it, folks. These feathered Aggie fans are convinced Shamu and the Cougars are all wet. Back at Sea Lion and Otter Stadium, Clyde carried on his strategy session. A visit to SeaWorld's Dolphin Stadium by the BYU cheerleading squad gave a group of whales and dolphins the chance to wish their Cougars luck. But BYU fans are not. The animals and trainers couldn't resist a little practical joke during the squad's team photo. And at Sea Lion and Otter Stadium, Clyde continued to offer sage football wisdom to the tiring Texas A&M players and fans. Attempts to quiet the 500-pound sea lion were largely unsuccessful. And finally, at 1,800 pounds, this Pacific walrus named Flo would make a welcome addition to any offensive line. Of course, at that size, Flo could be the offensive line. Flo's a big fan of both the Aggies and Cougars and extends this affectionate SeaWorld Holiday Bowl farewell to all the participants in tonight's game. Reporting from SeaWorld, I'm Daryl Bruffett.
SeaWorld, of course, the title sponsor of the Holiday Bowl, and SeaWorld is one of the great attractions that make San Diego one of the hotbeds of tourism in all of the United States. At the half at Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego, it's the Aggies 37 and the Cougars 7.
Stomach troubles. They can blow in like an ocean storm, bringing heartburn, or upset stomach, or even diarrhea. That's why you should always have Pepto-Bismol on board. Pepto's special triple-action coating formula goes to work quickly to cool heartburn, calm upset stomach, and relieve diarrhea with a layer of effective soothing pink medication. Pepto-Bismol's triple-action coating formula turns tummy troubles into smooth sailing.
Back at Jack Murphy Stadium at halftime of the SeaWorld Holiday Bowl, it's Texas A&M 37 and BYU 7. Sean McDonough along with Mike Gottfried and Neil Womack. We hope you're enjoying the football game. We expected a wide open offensive affair, Mike. That's what we got. We didn't expect it to be this one-sided. The first half was really dominated by Texas A&M.
Well, anytime you can run the football and play good defense, you're going to dominate the game, and that's exactly what A&M has done. They've controlled the line of scrimmage on offense. and they have done a great job mixing up their play.
I'm sure what you said, Mike, was most astute. I didn't hear a word of it. Let's enjoy the fireworks. That seems to be the finale. I agree with everything you said, Mike. Let's take a look at some highlights from the first half of the SeaWorld Holiday Bowl. Each team scored on its first possession. Then it was all Texas A&M, and it started with this touchdown run.
Watch Robert Wilson, number 20 here, make the block. And that's the kind of day it's been for BYU. He opens up the play for Darren Lewis to run inside. They're controlling the offensive line of scrimmage, and they're just knocking the BYU defensive line back and doing a great job. Then on defense, William Thomas, number 11, as we said in the open, he's going to pressure. He beats the block of the offensive tackle here, comes in, tries to strip the ball, and this is where Ty Detmer was hurt when he fell on his shoulder. William Thomas, it has to be controlled if BYU is going to be able to come back in the second half. And you control him by going after him, and you control him by play-action passes to him and keeping the tight end on his side of the block.
Let's take a look at the halftime statistics. Not surprisingly, A&M is dominating in virtually every category, and the important number for them at the bottom of the screen, time of possession.
Well, I think that's an important number, but also the rushing yards. They have 0 rushing yards. And when you have 164, you're moving the chains, you're controlling the clock, and you're setting a pattern of play, and that sets up the play-action passes that A&M has had. But I think Lavelle Edwards can go in at halftime and say to his team, hey, Miami was ahead of Maryland 31-0 a couple of years ago at halftime. Maryland came back and made a comeback. We can make the greatest comeback of all time to come back and win this football game. Ty Detmer is going to play in the second half. I don't think Lavelle Edwards was playing if he felt he was going to be injured further in this particular football game. And I just feel like that the first series of downs will tell all the tale whether BYU can make a game of this or not.
Speaking of Lavelle Edwards, he's standing by with our Neil Lomax.
All right, Coach, not obviously your best first half. Number one question, though, how is Ty?
Well, he does have a partial tear of his left shoulder and dislocation, and it's not bothering him unless he gets, hit worse, but he just elected.
But he is going to play the second half.
He's going to try to play the second half, and then see how it goes.
Okay. Sean, Mike, thanks, Coach. Thanks.
BYU will get the football first in the second half. Stacy Corley at the bottom of your screen. He's back deep along with Eric Mortensen. And Lane Talbot will kick off. Normally it's Terry Venetoulias who handles the kicking off for A&M. Mortensen from the 10. Bounced off a hit at the 29 and bowled forward to the 31. It is Ty Detmer leading the BYU attack as we begin the second half.
What BYU has to do now is come back and come back slowly. You can't make all this up right at once. You just have to be patient, try to work yourself back into this football game. And try to work yourself back into things you do best. Try to get the ball to Andy Boyce on the outside. But again, control number 11. A&M is so anxious to get after Ty Detmer.
And it looked like that time Ty was anxious to get away from the rush. Understandably so.
Dead ball, encroachment, defense.
See, he's moving back, though, and unless he's really making a designed effort to try to fool them as he came out of there, they called the penalty on A&M. A&M's going to just continually try to put the heat on. You know, the difference in this ball game right now, we'd have a closer ball game if the receivers from BYU would have came back and made some of those big catches. Now, they'd have been great catches, but that's what they did last year against Penn State. They made the plays.
Loose football picked up and advanced by the tackle, Neil Ford. He got back to the line of scrimmage.
He may have the... Neil Ford, watch the ball. I don't think the ball comes up to Ty, and it gets kicked around. Neil Ford, 6'5" and 295, is going to pick it up. See, number 76, he'll find it, pick it up, run with it, and I think he's got the first plus yardage rushing for BYU.
On the final play of the half, the Hail Mary pass thrown by Detmer into the end zone, 2 Aggie defenders were injured on that play. Both Larry Horton and Ramsey Bradbury limped off the field. Horton had to be helped off. Larry is on the field to start the second half, but he has been limping, and he's trying to stretch out what appears to be a leg problem. and Ramsey Bradbury is not on the field.
The concern you have as a coach and a player right now is the long halftime of being able to come out and get loose, and that's what you see Larry Horton moving around right now. You're going to see the play that they got hurt on at the end of the half right here as everybody went for the football, the collision of both people together.
It was Brent Nyberg for BYU, but the two Aggies stayed down for the first several minutes of halftime. That's Horton being helped off. He's the player who is in there. We have not seen Ramsey Bradbury.
Usually in a college game in a regular season, you have 15 minutes at halftime. They've had 30 minutes or more right now. So again, now just trying to get loose and get back into playing condition mentally and physically right now to be ready to answer the bell.
Ty Detmer did receive treatment at the half. We're told they've added some padding. He has a grade 2 AC separation, for those of you who understand what that means. Detmer underneath. Boyce, first down BYU, out to the 47-yard line.
What A&M's doing is they're lining up in an 8-man front, and they're just coming at them. I mean, this is the defense that Mike Ditka, the Chicago Bears, made famous. R.C. Slocum has a background of defense. Watch the 8-man front. They're bringing the people from the outside. That's going to leave people like Andy Boyce open on the little routes just like that. BYU has to be patient. They have to take the 5-6-yard route and just work their way down the football field to try to get themselves back in this game. They're not going to have time to get the big play.
Again, the Aggies blitz. Detmer dumps it off. And the officials have not given any indication as to whether or not it's a sack or an incompletion. Apparently, it will be ruled an incomplete pass.
Great pressure by number 9, Marcus Buckley. Watch again the pressure of the linebackers. Number 48, Anthony Williams, comes in. Number 95, Albert Jones, gets a hold of Ty Detmer, but he's smart enough to get away, try to just throw the football. Head down, get rid of it. Could have been intentional grounding, probably should have been. Got away with one there.
37-7 in favor of Texas A&M. The opening minutes of the third quarter. Detmer looked like he went down with the face mask. Looked like Albert Jones pulled him down with the face mask. And that's a tough break for A&M because Detmer wasn't going anywhere.
No, when you're ahead 37-7 like they are right now, it allows you to do a lot of things on defense. And they're just putting their ears back, and they know they're not going to run the football. So they're just going to come after them relentlessly on each play.
Personal foul, face mask, defense, 15 yards, and the previous pass, first down.
They've got two good calls right here. Now, here's the replay. You see the pressure, you see the pocket collapse, and he has no place to go. Number 95, Albert Jones, reaches out, grabs the face mask, and then holds on.
Well, that's a good call. He never did let go.
I think so. I think it's a good call.
R.C. Slocum doesn't think so. I think R.C. might still be hot about the lack of a grounding call. He has much more of an argument along those lines.
The BYU protection, they've got a man protection system right now with 8 men coming. It's very difficult for them to handle. That's why Andy Boyce and Brent Nyberg have to play important parts in the second half.
Movement on both sides. And Aggie came across into the neutral zone, but then Chris Smith took off up the field.
The other thing that's not uncommon, you see a lot of penalties now, people jumping. The 3-week layoff. You haven't played a game. BYU wasn't able to practice because of the weather in Provo until they got over here. And now, you see some people jumping like Chris Smith jumped across, but I think they're going to call it an A&M.
Encroachment, defense, 5 yards.
Apparently there was contact from one of the Aggies before Smith took off up the field. You wouldn't know RC's leading by 30 at the moment.
See, I think that's a good call because when somebody jumps across the line of scrimmage, the center is sometimes taught. Marcus Buckley jumped across, snap the ball. If somebody comes across the line of scrimmage, even though it's not on that particular count, snap it anyway. We'll take the 5-yard penalty. And that's exactly what Robert Stevens did.
They blitz again. Detmer moved away from Thomas. Now has running room. He's down at the 15. Quentin Coriant made the tackle with help from Marlon Haynes and tempers Flair as they get off the pile. Marlon Haynes, one of those players who is playing here the second half because of the injury to Ramsey Bradbury. He's number 2.
Ty Detmer's going to see William Thomas in his sleep tonight. Number 11. Here he comes again. See, they're trying to get a guard out on him. That's just a mismatch. You're never going to get that guard out on him. They're going to have to put a tight end on his side or run play action at him. But Ty Detmer does a good job adjusting, gets up the field, and becomes a running back on this play. Eventually he's caught from behind.
And he winces with that separated left shoulder.
See the left tackle, he's even backing up a little bit to try to give himself a little help on Thomas.
A couple of linemen move. This play likely to come back. Matsuzaki taken down. Now a flag on Frazier. But it did look like a couple of offensive linemen for BYU were backing out of their stances. And flags were flying at the line of scrimmage. Matsuzaki interfered with by Derek Frazier.
We get a chance, we're going to show you how the tackles are affected by this rush by William Thomas.
Defense, illegal motion offense, penalties cancel. First down.
Watch the tackles on both sides. Watch 76. He's so far back right now to try to help himself with William Thomas. The right tackle looked like move number 61, Mike Kine. But they're being attacked by the outside. They're trying to get an advantage by backing up just a little bit to try to get off the line of scrimmage.
Frazier had a hold of the jersey of Matsuzaki.
In the last play, A&M jumped into 46 and didn't allow Ty Detmer a chance to change the play. Here they come again.
Detmer with time, going for the same corner of the end zone, and a great play. Chris Crooms batted it away from Chris Smith.
This is a similar play that they scored a touchdown on, except no movement by Ty Detmer. It's just a drop-back pass. You watch Chris Smith come across the field. Defensively, number 6, Chris Crooms staying with him. It's in pretty good shape. He just didn't get it out far enough, and I think that's a disappointment that Ty has. He had him beat, just didn't hang it out far enough. Good effort by Chris Crooms. Ty Detmer knows he needed to put a little more on it.
2nd and 10 from the 15. They go to the delay. Chewy Pelotu, the ball carrier. He made it to the 11 for a gain of 4. Peter Chewy Pelotu's older brother Tom was a running back at BYU.
Sean, this is the type of play right here, 3rd down and 6. Matt Bellini were healthy. Be the player they'd go to right now, and that's what you lose. And the coach calling the plays, Norm Childs up here trying to find a way to make something happen here without Matt Bellini in the lineup. Watch a pick play here.
Detmer hit as he dumped it off, incomplete. He got hit by Williams, and Mr. and Mrs. Detmer have to be concerned about the well-being of their son. And you have to wonder now, Mike, if he should still be in this football game. They're 30 points behind. He has a separated shoulder. He's getting up in obvious agony after just about every play.
One thing as a coach's wife, she's seen all the wins, losses, injuries, and everything. And of course, she's been through it with her dad or with her husband as a coach. So she has tremendous feelings for what's going on right now. Here you see the play. Watch the blitz come again and not picked up. Inside, Anthony Williams gets to him before he can make the pass play. BYU's going to settle for the field goal.
Earl Kaufman trying a 29-yarder out of the hold of Andy Boyce. It's good. There is a flag down.
It's going to be on Frazier. Derek Frazier ran right into the kicker.
This far behind. Do you take the points off the board and go for the touchdown?
Oh, I think so. You have to. If it's a first down, I don't know what the call's going to be as far as the. I think if it's a first down situation, which I think it is, then you've got to take it off.
Personal foul, roughing the kicker, defense, penalty from the Previous spot, half the distance to the goal line. First down.
They take the field goal off the board. They'll try for the touchdown.
Watch Derek Frazier. You go for an aiming point on this, and he leaves his feet and runs right into the kicker. He left his feet too far from the point.
Joe Evans has come in to play quarterback for BYU. Frazier is an excellent kick blocker. Detmer frustrated along the sideline. Derek Frazier blocked the field goal at Texas in the last game of the regular season, also blocked one against Pittsburgh last year in the John Hancock Bowl. But that time, he's guilty of the penalty, which brings Joe Evans onto the field, first and goal from the 5. Chewy Pelotu has a blocker. Could not turn the corner. Finally, he did. He was stopped at the corner momentarily, then burst ahead for a gain of 4 down to the 1-yard line.
Good call by Norton Chow. Gives the quarterback a chance to settle down a little bit. Ty Detmer, 11 completions, 23 attempts, 120 yards. Now I think good call would be a quarterback sneak. Let him get some points here and get a good feel for the game.
Ty Detmer had thrown for more than 300 yards in 25 straight games.
He's frustrated right now because of the final game, and of course the way this bit. Ty Detmer, 11 completions, 23 attempts, 120 yards. Now I think good call would be a quarterback sneak. Let him get some points here and get a good feel for the game.
Ty Detmer had thrown for more than 300 yards in 25 straight games.
He's frustrated right now because of the final game, and of course the way this game has gone so far.
Evans, play action. Good fake, wide open, touchdown.
Good call.
Brad Clark on the receiving end of the pass from Joe Evans. That is the first touchdown pass of his career.
It's a good call for Joe Evans because it gives him a chance now to get into this football game with a good play and good feelings about what's going on. Watch his fake. An excellent fake by Joe Evans. Fake also by the running back because he continued and leaped up, and there's a good pass. Good score.
That's the first score for BYU since the Cougars' opening drive of the football game. Kaufman missed 4 extra points this year. He just did hook that one through. The Cougars needed a score on the opening drive of the second half, and they got it, but they lost their Heisman Trophy winning quarterback.
They're more harmless than the real critics, though.
Simmons with a strong return. It took the kicker Kaufman with help from Derwin Gray to bring him down at the 37-yard line. A return of 33.
Randy Simmons will be the tailback next year, so the Southwest Conference teams down Texas way will have to contend with him and Robert Wilson next year. So when they lose Darren Lewis, pretty good running back. Randy Simmons, 6'2", 214 behind him.
First time on offense in the second half for Texas A&M. They put 37 points on the board in the first half. They lead 37-14 with 10:57 left in the third quarter. Darren Lewis knocked down at the 43-yard line after a gain of 5. That is a rather impressive graphic. The first half possessions for Texas A&M, just 1 punt. Everything else resulted in a touchdown.
Well, that makes the other offense really pressure when they go in, because they know they've been on the field. They have these long drives, so when you do get your chance, you kind of pressure because you want to try to make something happen, and then you get frustrated. So that's the benefit of having a good run game and good solid play possession type game plan in the fact that A&M has.
Second down and 5. The option to the right. Richardson picks up the first down into BYU territory. He's finally down at the 45-yard line. Shad Hansen made the tackle after a gain of 12 for Bucky Richardson.
I think there's 2 points right here. Number one, you can't practice speed. You can't practice for 3 weeks the speed that the defense of BYU is seeing here tonight. You just can't practice against it, so you have to adjust as the game goes along. That's number one. Number two, they haven't played against an option I two-back team, and they haven't seen one this year. And they're having a tough time with that big offensive line and trying to defend something that they haven't seen because they've been in a league that throws the football.
Darren Lewis picks his way to the 42-yard line, a pickup of 3. For an update on Ty Detmer, here's Neil.
Well, if Lavelle Edwards could have more bad news, it's this. Ty Detmer now has separated his right throwing shoulder. I've had that happen too. You can't throw the ball very well with your throwing shoulder, and I don't know what's going to happen to him now. He still says he wants to play. The rest of his counterparts are sure giving him a try. Chris Smith's got a sprained ankle. Matt Bellini's ankle's bad. Ty's going to hang in there, but not with his throwing shoulder.
I think Ty Detmer's finished. Next year's schedule, they open up in the Disneyland game against either Washington or Houston. That'll be the next game you'll see him in. He shouldn't come back in this football game. Then they play at UCLA and at Penn State, so you got a tough schedule ahead next year.
Lewis thrown this time for a loss of 3 back to the 45. Mark Smith led the defensive surge for the Cougars. He's a senior, nose guard from Winslow, Arizona. He came to BYU as a walk-on. Really didn't play much prior to this year, but he's played well.
Watch Mark Smith here, the defensive nose guard. Because he's tilted, he'll always take a couple people to block him in the style that he's playing. Usually you have to double team him and then try to put it back on the linebacker.
3rd and 10. Richardson with the blitz, dumps it off. Doug Carter, first down A&M. Doug Carter lost the football, recovered by the Cougars at the 10-yard line.
Very good offensive play called by Bob Toledo. When you play against Houston, John Jenkins is probably sitting home now in his living room watching this game. This is a run-and-shoot screen right here that they probably picked off the film against Houston. Good throw. Matt McCall makes a good block, springs him in the secondary. Then the fumble is caused. Doug Carter lays it on the ground, a big turnover for BYU.
Dave Kennard knocked it free, and Brian Mitchell recovered it. So a chance for the Cougars to climb back into this one. Still plenty of time remaining. 8:11 left in the 3rd quarter. BYU trails 37-14. Joe Evans, the quarterback. Stacy Corley thrown down by Quentin Coriat back inside the 5-yard line.
Interesting thing there, BYU shifted the tight end over to William Thomas's side. Chris Smith to block him on that run. Quentin Coriat with a good play. See Chris Smith on the left side, he's blocking William Thomas. They're going to try to control William Thomas a little bit more. They got the sweep to the backside, but Quentin Coriat comes underneath the block and makes the play.
He ran right by Brian May. Coriat, selected by the Associated Press as the defensive newcomer of the year in the Southwest Conference this year. He is a junior, but he had not played the last 2 years. Had some academic problems last year, and he was a Prop 48 casualty 2 years ago. Mike Salido, good cut. Gets him out to the 10-yard line. Now 3rd and 10 upcoming for BYU.
In this situation right here, Joe Evans is going to be pressured. This is going to be his first big chance to throw the football. And he's going to face pressure from both sides. Marcus Buckley, number 9, William Thomas, and they'll probably bring an inside linebacker also.
Coach Edwards and his new quarterback, Joe Evans, are from the same hometown of Orem, Utah. This is Joe Evans' first year at BYU after 2 years at Snow College, a school that has sent several players on to BYU.
Just throw an out route right here. Try to pick up 10 yards.
Evans over the middle. Incomplete. Intended for Nyberg. BYU fans wanted a flag on Kevin Smith, but the flag was not thrown. And now it's the BYU coaches and players turn to argue with the officials. Shane Garrett back to receive the punt from Earl Kaufman. He had one punt of 38 yards. He also had a ball snapped over his head for a safety. High short kick. And Garrett makes a fair catch at the 44-yard line. A 33-yard punt and no return. 37-14, Texas A&M.
34 yards on the punt.
Wake up, hey Canada, wake up. Today is our McCain Day.
What's the secret of McCain's richer tasting juice? More oranges. McCain concentrates the juice of more oranges into every can. More than Minute Maid, more than Old South. So you have a special reason to buy McCain.
You bet I do.
It's like an extra squeeze of juice in every glass. So compared to Minute Maid and Old South, you have an extra reason to drink McCain.
You bet I do. Wake up to McCain.
One of the most exciting finishes in Holiday Bowl history took place in 1980. BYU trailed SMU by 20 points with 4 minutes to go. But the Cougars scored 21 points in the final 2.5 minutes, capping off the amazing finish with a Hail Mary touchdown pass from Jim McMahon to Clay Brown. And the Cougars are hoping for another fantastic finish in this, the 13th annual SeaWorld Holiday Bowl. Being played before a crowd of 61,441, the second largest crowd in SeaWorld Holiday Bowl history. First and 10 A&M at the 44 of BYU. Richardson, he's played a great game. He's close to a first down at the 35. You're looking at the Virgin Atlantic Airways light ship being flown tonight by Captain Jim Dexter. He has flown over 3,500 hours as a blimp pilot. He's flown all over the world. Nice to have Jim. And we appreciate the nice message from the Virgin Atlantic Airways light ship intended for the troops over in the Persian Gulf. Doug Carter, the backup fullback, he's a junior from Dallas, Texas. He was taken down quickly by Scott Giles. Giles is a great story. He was going to redshirt this year. In fact, he sat out the first 5 games of the year, but then Jared Levitt, who was a starting linebacker, suffered a neck injury. Giles was activated. He says he's a little bit disappointed he had to sit out all those games now that he's not going to have a redshirt year, but he's played very well since stepping in.
Well, he's getting good experience for next year. The WAC conference, I've always said, is the Rodney Dangerfield. They don't get enough respect, but the Air Force started off this postseason with a big win over Ohio State. And, of course, BYU, I know, is disappointed in their showing to this point in this particular game, but it's a good league.
First and 10. Darren Lewis down at the 29-yard line. The BYU Sports Information folks tell us that Ty Detmer has indeed suffered grade 2 separations in each shoulder. His recovery time is expected to be 3 to 6 weeks. No surgery is anticipated for Ty Detmer. He is expected to return for spring ball, but he is out for the game, and that leaves Roger French, the offensive coordinator, to go to plan B.
Well, you see him drawing blocking schemes down there. He has to come up with something to try to control that rush. He's got a 8-man front coming after him, and he's got to try to figure something to give his quarterback a little time to throw something.
2nd and 5. Wilson, the fullback, picked up a couple.
Mark Smith on the tackle.
R.C. Slocum just now wants to just run the clock. Just keep pounding the football, get it in here for 7, run the clock, and start playing a few of his younger players.
When you give Wilson the ball, you know he's going to gain yardage. He was only thrown for 8 yards in losses this year. Carried the ball 134 times.
He needs to stay in school, Sean. He needs to stay there and play next year in college football, and he'll be one of the top draft choices in the country.
On third down, the option to the left. Richardson heading for the end zone. Penalty flag thrown late at the 15-yard line. Second touchdown run tonight for Bucky Richardson.
Red ball. Unsportsmanlike. Taunting. Offense after the score. Touchdown count.
I've seen 2 taunting calls tonight, which I haven't seen all year. And I think it's a good call. I think the officials are doing a good job on that. I think it should be called. If it's in the rule book, then call it. Here's the option play. Bucky Richardson sees that everybody's playing the sweep. The option to Darren Lewis. He cuts it up. Breaks for the touchdown.
Bucky Richardson sat out all of last year as a result of a knee injury he suffered in the 1988 season finale against Texas. But this summer, in the preseason workouts, they timed him to the 40 at 4.54. So despite the serious knee injury, he can still run. We've seen that tonight. He's rushed for 82 yards on just 7 carries. That one 27 yards, and his second rushing touchdown. The extra point by Lane Talbot makes it 44-14, Texas A&M.
Penalty will...
The trouble with Honey Nut cornflakes is they're just too good to miss. People will do just about anything for that light taste of honey and real nuts. Sprinkled on crunchy flakes of corn. Kellogg's Honey Nut Corn Flakes. The trouble is, they taste too good.
Sean McDonough with Mike Gottfried and Neil Lomax in San Diego for the SeaWorld Holiday Bowl. Texas A&M leads 44-14. The taunting penalty enforced on the kickoff. As a result, Corley and Mortensen are waiting for the kickoff at the 20-yard line. Lane Talbot will kick from his 20.
Good balance by A&M offensively. Run yardage 225 yards, same passing 225 yards. So good balanced attack. They've got a lot of big plays tonight that controlled the ball in the rushing game.
3:58 left in the third quarter. Corley started at the 22. He's taken down from behind and out of bounds at the 43-yard line of Texas A&M. Eric Moore had to catch him from behind after a return of 35. Yesterday, we asked defensive back of BYU, Brian Mitchell, the key to stopping Texas A&M.
First, we got to stop Bucky Richardson. If we stop Bucky Richardson, then Darren Lewis won't get the ball as much. You know, if you get him on the sweep, I think we can string it out. But if you get him on the option, they have that triple threat. And, you know, they're very dangerous when they're doing that.
And that proves to be right on the money. So much of the focus was on Darren Lewis, but here's the guy who has done the most damage tonight.
Well, they're concerned about the option because they don't see it. They see the one wishbone offense in Air Force, but they don't see the two-back option that they've seen tonight.
As usual, the blitz. Evans has time, finds Chris Smith. He's out of bounds at the 29 with a first down. And now a skirmish back behind the line of scrimmage, and flags fly. You could see that R.C. Slocum was noticeably agitated after the taunting penalty. His team is in command. But one of the things he's trying to bring to this Texas A&M program is class. He has restored some of the integrity after the scrutiny of the NCAA that helped hasten Jackie Sherrill's departure. You don't want to get involved in classless exhibitions that might take a great victory.
Offense, dead ball, personal foul, defense. Both players are ejected.
You see number 76, Neil Fort, working on one side, and you see on the other side here, Brian May, after the pass is thrown.
And it's Brian May and Jason Black who wouldn't let go of each other.
Neil Fort may have been the player thrown out of the game, and he wasn't even involved. He was trying to break it up. Another 72, Brian May taking off his hand pad, so I believe he's probably the player they threw out on BYU side. But for the official standpoint, that's probably the best thing they can do right now, to try to get this under control. Sean, as we were talking, I think if there's any doubt across the country, the Southwest Conference is back. They've had a few bad years, and people, I know when some of the things happened in the league, people came from all over. Talking about the ejection, but that people came into Texas and recruited and tried to take all the good players out of there because they were saying all these teams are on probation, you can't go to a bowl game. But the Southwest Conference, you look at Texas is a strong football team. Houston's had the great year. Baylor, TCU started very strong, so I think they're back. Rice had a good year, and they keep going on and on. So I think the Southwest Conference is keeping the Texas athletes at home a little bit more now, and they're back.
Evans slammed down back at the 36-yard line. Again, it was Quentin Coriat, the junior from Baytown, Texas.
Might as well put a red X on Joe Evans because he's marked right now with this score. Quentin Coriat just is turning loose on every play. They're bringing backers. They're bringing the outside people. William Thomas. Look at the pressure. Just had a nightmare protecting the passer.
Less than 3 minutes to play down the third quarter. Evans, look out. Down he goes in the grasp of Albert Jones, the senior from Missouri City, Texas.
Watch Albert Jones, number 95, just come over the block. The offensive lineman, number 74.
That's Garrett Touche, who had come in for Brian May, the guard who was ejected. Jones came into tonight with only a half sack for the entire year.
Bob Davie has designed a good defensive plan tonight. He's put pressure on BYU, and he's taken them out of their game. Here they're playing coverage.
On 3rd and 26, they dump it to Tui Pelotu, and he gains a yard. Chris Crooms drove him back. Quentin Coriat also in on the play.
You have Joe Evans now at quarterback, and he hasn't seen the blitz. He hasn't played that much. He doesn't get that much practice time. Here they're playing zone coverage. You see Quentin Coriat just come up and make the play, along with Chris Crooms. If you're Texas A&M and in the position you are right now, you can play a lot of your younger players in the fourth quarter. This becomes an extra benefit for you because you get to see some of your younger players get some game experience here in the fourth quarter in a bowl game and get ready for next year.
Kaufman, his punt handled by Garrett on the fair catch. 34-yard punt and no return, and the Aggies will begin at their own 9-yard line. This the third of our 4 bowl games this year on ESPN. Our bowl coverage concludes with the Mazda Gator Bowl on New Year's Day at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Number 12, Michigan, against number 15, Mississippi.
I think it should be a good football game. Mississippi's probably chomping at the bit to get to this bowl game. This is a big game for them, a Gator Bowl appearance. Michigan was just a couple plays away from having the kind of year that they wanted to have.
Richardson keeps. He reached the 13 before he was driven back. Pete Harston led the surge of Cougar defenders.
Well, that size, they've been pounding on that defensive line. Rich Kafusi, number 59. Outstanding defensive lineman for BYU this whole year. Mark Smith has played well, but they've just been dominated.
Not many players have a chance to be the most valuable player in 2 bowl games, but Bucky Richardson has that chance. He was the offensive MVP in the Cotton Bowl.
Well, I'm stamping him right now. He gets my vote for this
game.
game.
I think he's a lock. That was against Notre Dame back in Bucky's freshman year. Darren Lewis out to the 25 for a first down, a gain of 11. Clock will stop as they move the chains, but if the Aggies so choose, that can be the final play of the third quarter.
Darren Lewis just follows the block of his fullback. Irvin Lee made the tackle, number 9. Darren Lewis had a great season. And the BYU players heading out.
And the Aggies will not run another play. Each team scored a touchdown in the third quarter. After 3 quarters, Texas A&M 44 and the BYU Cougars 14.
From the Wild West to the mean streets, Clint Eastwood has enforced his own style of law. Now you can own his greatest movies with the Clint Eastwood collection from Time Life Video. As a gritty cop or gunslinging renegade, Clint delivers non-stop action and some of the most famous one-liners in screen history.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Start your collection with the outlaw Josie Wales for just $4.99 plus shipping and handling. Part philosopher.
Diane ain't much of a living boy.
Part sharpshooter. Josie goes out for revenge.
And you gotta get mean. I mean plumb mad dog mean.
Other videos include Hang 'em High, plus Dirty Harry and Magnum Force. There's no commitment or minimum number to buy, and you keep only the videos you want. So call now for the outlaw Josie Wales. Here's how to order.
To order your Clint Eastwood video cassette, call 1-800-354-3800. That's 1-800-354-3800. Or send just $4.99 plus $4 shipping and handling to Clint Eastwood Collection, P.O. Box 600, Station R, Toronto, Ontario.
$15 minutes remain in the 13th annual SeaWorld Holiday Bowl. Texas A&M 44 and BYU 14. And the Aggies have it 1st and 10 at their own 24 as the fourth quarter begins. Richardson keeps. Richardson gives the stiff arm to Irvin Lee, and finally Lee knocks him out of bounds in BYU territory at the 42-yard line, a gain of 34 for Bucky Richardson.
On the option play, they just overran Bucky Richardson. As he turned up, he was able to cut against the green. He almost ran into the recruiting coordinator over there. Here you see him. He fakes the option one way, comes back the other side. You see all the play. They play the pitch, and now he breaks it away from the way that BYU has approached him, and then he breaks a tackle, puts the old stiff arm out there for a quarterback, and they force him out of bounds.
He's up to 119 yards rushing on 12 carries. His season high 180 yards rushing on just 13 carries against SMU. This man will throw it. Kyle Ivey, a backup wide receiver, in there for one reason, to throw it to Shane Garrett, who's down at the 4-yard line.
This is complete to Shane Garrett.
That's the first time Ivey, a true freshman walk-on, has touched the ball all year long. We watched them practice this play. If he came in, that was the play.
Well, they're getting all their trick plays used tonight. Oh, hit old Ivy on the play there. Here's the fake to Robert Wilson. Pass, the double pass. They threw it behind. Good throw right here. Shane Garrett almost gets in the end zone. Your BYU, you're not real happy about that.
No, that might be rubbing salt in the wound when you're ahead by 30. Another bone-crushing block from Robert Wilson.
Bob Toledo, the offensive coordinator. Bucky Richardson. Watch the fullback, number 20, Robert Wilson. Watch him lead this play. Just makes the block on the defensive back, just knocks him down and get out of his way. Darren Lewis, here it comes.
That was David Henderson, the backup strong safety. Lane Talbot adds the extra point, and with 14-12 left in the Holiday Bowl, it's 51-14 in favor of the Aggies.
Wednesday, TSN has all the exciting highlights, plus in-depth features from the American Hockey League on Rinkside. Then the Canadian Juniors take on the Czechs in live action from the World Championship. It's high-flying, high-scoring highlights from around the NBA on Sports Desk. Rinkside, the World Junior Championship, and all the highlights on Sports Desk. Wednesday on TSN.
51-14, Texas A&M. Razzle-dazzle pass from Ivy set it up. I think that's a bit much, with the Aggies already ahead by 30. But they went into the bag of tricks, and it resulted in still another score. Now Corley running for his life. Kerry Vincent in pursuit, and he chases him out inside the 20-yard line. They'll spot him out at the 15.
I hate to see this for BYU because they've had a great year. Now they close with a tough loss to Bob Wagner's Hawaii team, and then lose this bowl game. Now it's get ready for the next year's season, and they've got a tough schedule, as I said earlier, in the Disneyland game, and then play at UCLA and at Penn State.
Tonight's storyline from San Diego. Ty Detmer suffered separations of each shoulder. A&M scored on 5 of its first 6 possessions. Look at the rushing yards, 276 to -1. And Bucky Richardson has thrown a touchdown pass, rushed for 2, and caught a touchdown pass. Joe Evans going for Nyberg, batted away by Kevin Smith. Smith was a nominee for the Thorpe Award to the nation's outstanding defensive back, and he played a terrific game tonight.
Boy, he did on that play, Sean. Just good coverage. Joe Evans bought a lot of time. Watch him just come around, knock the ball away here. He's in good position, uses left arm, stays away from the receiver, knocks the ball away. Good defensive play.
He has 18 career interceptions, which ties him for the all-time Southwest Conference lead. He broke Lester Hayes' school interception record at Texas A&M earlier this year. Hayes had 14. Smith now with 18. Evans again airing it out. Chris Smith is behind the defense. Chris Smith had it batted away. It is picked up and then lost by the Cougars. Still a scramble for it at the 27, and it looks like the Aggies have it. They do. Kevin Smith recovered the fumble.
Tell you what happened on this, Sean. Man-to-man coverage. Crooms is following Smith. But watch what Chris Crooms does. He's beat. Chris Smith makes the play, but watch him strip him with his right arm. Watch him come down and strip the ball. Watch him pound it, right? There. Knock it out of his hands. As a receiver, you want to try to cover that point, put it away. As a defensive back, when you're trying to make that tackle, take that swipe and try to knock the ball out of his hand. That's exactly what he did. He caused a big play.
Everything has gone right tonight for Texas A&M. Lance Pavlis in at quarterback. He was in for one play. That was in the first half when he handed the ball to Bucky Richardson, who took it in for a touchdown. Pavlis, the senior from Tomball, Texas, was the starter at the beginning of the year when Texas A&M went with more of a pro-style attack offensively. But he struggled through some bad interceptions, particularly in the game against LSU, and that opened the door for Bucky Richardson to earn back the starting job. Second and 6 with 13 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. 51-14, Texas A&M. Pavlis on the money for a first down. Tony Harrison, a true freshman from Houston, Texas, made the catch. He had 5 during the regular season. That one was good for a pickup of 22.
Well, I can't believe they're still throwing the football, but they are. But I think the only thing that is probably going to be bad tonight for Texas A&M is the phone bill from that recruiting coordinator over there, because he has been calling this whole game. Now he's probably, at the start of the game, he probably worked the East Coast and then worked his way back now the West Coast, where people are still awake out here. He's calling the recruits, but that's the only bad thing they've done tonight.
Pavlis with a great play-action fake.
But he threw it in a double coverage, and it's batted away. Shane Garrett, the intended receiver, Derwin Gray, knocked it down.
Great play fake by Lance Pavlis.
Again, they're throwing the home run ball ahead by 37 points in the fourth quarter.
Watch his fake. Puts it on behind his back, pretends like he doesn't have the ball, and then just hangs it out there. Good defensive coverage by Derwin Gray. Brian Mitchell.
I don't want to belabor the point because I don't want to take away from a great performance by the Texas A&M Aggies tonight. That is exactly what it has been. But I don't think this does much to further their image around the country. There's Tim Cassidy, the recruiting coordinator, on the telephone. Maybe they're running it up for the benefit of the recruits on the other end of the line, but they've done enough tonight. They don't need to throw it down the field 25, 30, 40 yards on every play. There's Lewis. Stopped after a gain of 5.
Well, the recruiting coordinator, there you see Tim Cassidy. He's talking to recruit right now. He's saying, son, come to Texas A&M. You see the good team we have. We're going to lose all these players, and you can come in and play right away. Now, if he was losing, he'd say, son, you see we're losing. We need help. You know? So either way, look at him. I'll tell you what, he's walking, talking, and that call probably right now is to L.A. somewhere because he's working the West Coast.
Do you think the recruit he's talking to is saying, hey, the guys on TV are saying, stop throwing the football. You're ahead by 37 points in the fourth quarter.
He's saying, don't pay attention to those guys. I don't know what they're talking about. Come to our school, son.
Rocky Beagle helped off the field. Pavlis throws underneath to Oliver. The hit from Henderson stopped him about a yard short of a first down. Gary Oliver came to A&M as a walk-on wide receiver. He was a starter by the midway point of his freshman year. He has improved every season. 8 catches as a freshman, 10 catches as a sophomore, 13 last year, and 28 in the regular season this year. Fourth down and 2, and the Aggies will go for it.
They're getting booed.
Lewis rips through the hole and picks up the first down. Derwin Gray knocked him down, but Lewis gives the Aggies a 1st and 10 at the 33-yard line. You have to wonder what Lavelle Edwards thinks of some of what he has seen lately.
Well, Lavelle's been around a long time. He's a gentleman, and he's a fine football coach. He's going to coach in the East-West game, one of the great all-star games. He played here before long up in Palo Alto, and he's going to take a couple of his players with him, and he's going to get on to recruit some players to go along with Ty Detmer next year and have another outstanding team.
That East-West Shrine game will be on ESPN January 26th. Lewis has his 100 yards. That last carry got him to 101. Darren Lewis rushed for 100 yards or more in 10 of the 12 regular season games. Only LSU and Arkansas held him under 100. In LSU's case, Lewis was ejected from that game in the second quarter. Less than 10.5 minutes to play. 51-14. Texas A&M.
They need to put the hook on Darren Lewis, so they need to get him out of there.
They give it to him again. He reached the 30 before being swarmed under. Let's check in with Tim Brando. Happy New Year, Tim.
Happy New Year to you, Sean. 19-17, Colorado State now in the Freedom Bowl. A safety, Bill Musgrave, tackle in the end zone, and Mike Brown had a field goal. It is 19-17. I don't need a phone, Sean. Get Mike Gottfried on a red eye. Get him up here for New Year's Day. Lee Corso's got to get down to Miami.
Well, look forward to watching you with Tim in the studio.
Be Tim Brando and I on New Year's Eve.
Now, will you make a prediction as Lee sometimes do? Because if you do, I hope your track record is going to be a little bit better than
No,
Lee.
Lee's is pretty good now. He's tough to beat, I'll tell you what.
Pavlis throws, caught for a first down. Felton Ransby, the senior from Decatur, Georgia, made the catch. The gain is 11 yards. And now Darren Lewis is on the sideline. He'll be looking ahead to a career in the National Football League. 27 100-yard-plus rushing games. He had 104 yards and 2 touchdowns tonight on 25 carries. From the 19, 1st and 10. Randy Simmons
Bounced off one tackle, then was flipped up in the air by Scott Giles.
There's some great young teams out there this year. I look at Florida State and Penn State. They played last night. There'll be two teams that bring a lot of people back. Georgia Tech's a very young football team to come back. Texas A&M's a team that could be up in contention next year if Robert Wilson comes back, which hope he does, and Randy Simmons at tailback. You got Bucky Richardson back. R.C. Slocum's done a good job. I think he's got a good staff, good sound staff. They play in a tough league. Texas, I'm telling you, Texas is a team on the rise also. They've done a great job this year, and I think in the Cotton Bowl you'll see a great effort out of them also.
Longhorns might be the best team in the country right now. Pavlis was drilled as he pitched it back to Simmons. Simmons reached the 15, still 6 yards short of a first down. Here's Neal.
51, to 14, and play action passes, flea flickers, the option, Hail Marys. If I was playing for BYU, I'd be a little upset more than just a score, but apparently some of the Aggie players felt that there's some comments made in the paper about them not being a higher ranked opponent, that BYU deserved to play a better team, and obviously that's not the case, and that's why R.C. Slocum running up this score.
I hope that person on that phone don't hear that.
That's right.
They're having a mug.
Well, the last few minutes they have, for the most part, gone back to the ground, except for this, which is a touchdown. Cornelius Patterson, a nice catch on the throw from Lance Pavlis.
Some of these games as a coach.
I don't blame Lavelle for wearing that expression.
Yeah. When you're on you can be on this sideline over here, it's not a good feeling. And of course, people have been on the other sideline also, been on that one also. But I remember playing Penn State one year. It was in Cincinnati, and they did a push-up after every score. The guys wore out. They scored 59 points and probably did about 180 push-ups that day.
58-14. 8:06 remaining.
TSN greets the new year with some stellar excitement in January. Hockey scores big. We've got the North Stars, the Superstars, and the All-Star Weekend from Chicago. The future stars of hockey are here today as the CHL faces off on TSN. We're courtside with the world champion Pistons and hold court down under at the Australian Open. The ladies will wow you at the Jamaica Classic, and college superstars bowl you over at the Japan and Shrine Bowls. Get real in 91, the real action on TSN.
58-14, Texas A&M with 8:06 remaining.
I was saying earlier, it's happened to me as a coach. Sometimes I didn't infer that somebody ran up on me. Penn State ran up, and they were just much better than we were, and we were not in that caliber that particular day. And sometimes that happens, and you know, it's just not your day. There'll be another day for both teams, and Lavelle Edwards will, as I said, he'll go out and recruit and be ready to go when the season opens next year.
Stacey Corley, a nice run back out to the 40 before Otis Neely and a couple of other Aggies drive him back. The BYU in the last two Holiday Bowls has given up a combined total now of 108 points. They give up 50 in their 50-39 loss to Penn State last year, and 58 points allowed tonight. They trail 58-14.
Well, you know, in that game last year against Penn State, they made some great big plays that they didn't make tonight. The receivers came back and made some catches, and of course Penn State just kept coming after them, and so they just didn't make the big plays tonight that they needed to play in their offense. And then when you lose Ty Detmer, and as I said at the opening, when Matt Bellini's down, I tell you, took the heart and soul of the ball club away from him right from the beginning. It's been it'll be a frustrating off season for BYU, but I expect them to come out next year in the traditional way they play, and they'll be ready to go.
Joe Evans dumps it off. Tui Pelotu couldn't handle it. It's amazing how quickly the emotions of a team in college football can change. We saw it with Virginia. They were riding high, undefeated, #1 in the country. Now they limp down to New Orleans, disappointed about the way the season has gone. Same thing for BYU. Before that Hawaii game, they're thinking about a national championship. They've already won the Heisman with Ty Detmer. Now the season's going to end on a real down note.
Well, the big point, and I made it earlier in the year too, is college players sometimes can't handle success. They can't handle adversity. You got to handle that, and you got to handle prosperity. But you got everybody patting you on the back, telling you how good you are. The Heisman Trophy comes out, and so it's just very difficult to handle. Pro players handle it from week to week a little bit better, but college guys are up and down. You see it throughout this season.
Play clock was down to 4 seconds, and Joe Evans used a timeout.
They'll talk over their 44-point play. 58-14 with 7:53 remaining.
Have you ever thought you could call the plays in a live football game? Well, you can with QB1. You'll be linked to the North American QB1 network live, head-to-head action with opposition on and off the field. Test your knowledge of pro football and call the plays yourself. QB1. Compete for prizes in 185 licensed locations across Canada. For a location near you, call 1-800-661-PLAY.
The Aggies 4 points shy of the Holiday Bowl record for most points by one team in a Holiday Bowl game. Oklahoma State in 1988 beat Wyoming 62-14. In that game, Barry Sanders rushed for 222 yards and scored 5 touchdowns. Joe Evans, under the relentless pursuit, tried to dump it off to Zundel, and it was incomplete. 3rd and 10 upcoming. You made an interesting point about Texas A&M. This is a team that was not very far away from being in the position that Texas is in right now. You look at the 3 losses for the Aggies. They lost at LSU, their only game this year on grass prior to tonight. But Darren Lewis was ejected in the second quarter of that game. They were ahead of Houston 24-7 and lost. A little bit flat the next week and tied Baylor. Then the 1-point loss against the Longhorns when they had a chance to win it late with a 2-point conversion. They're just a couple of plays away from a really tremendous season.
Playing for a national championship, being in the Cotton Bowl.
Evans. William Thomas is still in there, and he slams him down back at the 27. Quentin Coriat also continues his assault on BYU quarterbacks. This is the season that we were talking about for Texas A&M. That loss at LSU was without Darren Lewis for the second half of the football game. The loss at Houston came after a blown 24-7 lead. Then they were a little bit down following that blown game and tied Baylor the following week. Take nothing away from Baylor.
No, they're a well-coached football
team. They sure are. They had a terrific year, tied the Aggies for 2nd place in the Southwest Conference. And that 1-point loss to Texas when they could not pick up the 2-point conversion. Shane Garrett from the 33 brings it to the 45. A 12-yard return following a 38-yard punt.
Picturesque scenes of the great outdoors. A tapestry of nature's wonders, bursting with vibrant color. These vivid portraits of nature's beauty are contained in a breathtaking set, the Wildlife Knife Collection. Sportsmen and nature lovers everywhere will appreciate the...
Keith McAfee, the ball carrier for the Aggies. His first carry, and he's out to the 48, a gain of 3. Another injured BYU Cougar, that's Brad Hunter, backup defensive tackle, sophomore from North Bend, Oregon. He looks to be okay.
Gain of 4 yards.
I think his shoe is hurt. That's all. Just need to get it repaired.
Here comes Kyle Ivey in motion. And that's Doug Carter. He is the brother of Michael Carter, the outstanding defensive lineman for the San Francisco 49ers.
RC just wants to see this thing in. I visited the other day with Glenn Tuckett on the sidelines, the athletic director at BYU, quite a gentleman and very well thought of across the country. And he and Lavelle Edwards have a special relationship. I think sometimes, there's a guy who, as the athletic director, is responsible for the program, but they get along so well. And I mean, it's really good to see because as a football coach, you need that. You need somebody who you can count on. I'm sure on the other sideline, Lavelle Edwards feels like he can count on John David Crow and the kind of AD and the kind of guy that knows what it takes to build a football program.
Carter again, and he picked up the first down on 3rd and less than a yard.
Glenn Tuckett, I believe, was a baseball coach.
He was for 17 years, an outstanding baseball coach at BYU. When he retired, he was the 9th winningest coach in NCAA baseball history. He's in the BYU and State of Utah Halls of Fame.
And having been a coach, he understands the problems. And he's been, of course, they haven't had many problems at BYU.
No.
They've been very successful in football, and the basketball program's outstanding. And I believe A&M's basketball team is playing South Alabama tonight in a tournament in Kansas City.
McAfee, big hole. He's close to a first down at the 33-yard line.
John, our next ball game will be at the Senior Bowl, and I'm going to treat you to a nice time in Mobile, Alabama. Great city. Wait till you come down there and see that. Eric Tillman, who runs this bowl game, it's an outstanding all-star game. Look at all the cameramen. They know I'm taking them all out for spaghetti dinner in Mobile on Friday night.
I expect he'll take us out for that spaghetti dinner after you just gave him a nice plug.
No, I'm taking you out.
You're going to take us out.
I'm taking you out. I found a place, spaghetti for $2.50. All you can eat.
Carter.
Oh, I'll tell you, the hit's still going on.
Terwin Gray has played well tonight for BYU. He's been in on many tackles for the Cougars. While we have a moment, speaking of bowl, folks do a great job. These people in San Diego have treated us so well. We appreciate the hospitality from the SeaWorld Holiday Bowl president, Bob Payne, and his staff. The executive director of this bowl game is one of the most respected in the country, and John Reed. We appreciate all the support from the entire Holiday Bowl staff, the people at SeaWorld, and the great citizens of San Diego. They're very proud of this city, and justifiably so. This game has been sold out since September 18th. That's how well San Diegans support the SeaWorld Holiday Bowl. McAfee taking a few Cougars for the ride. That ride ended at the 15-yard line. We'd also like to thank the folks on both sides. You mentioned Glenn Tuckett, the sports information staff at Brigham Young University, Coach Lavelle Edwards and his coaching staff and players. And for Texas A&M, athletic director John David Crow, the Aggies' only Heisman Trophy winner back in 1957. Alan Cannon, the sports information director, and his staff, and Coach R.C. Slocum, his assistant coaches and football team.
You know, Sean, I'd like to thank you and Jeff Gowan and all the people here for putting up with me this year. You guys did a good job in bringing me into this, and I appreciate all your support.
Well, as USA Today pointed out, you were the Analyst of the Year in college football. We want to thank, as you mentioned, Jeff Gowan, our director Ken Fouts, Joe Castellano, Mark Grant, Mike Schatz, Warner Manny, and our technical people, led for most of the year by Al Killian, our wonderful camera people who have dodged all kinds of elements.
Been outstanding.
We're lucky, too, because they're all wonderfully nice people. We've had a lot of fun this year, and we hope those of you who have watched throughout the season our package of CFA football and now the Holiday Bowl have enjoyed it too.
And we figure Neil Lomax will be back with us unless there's one more pro quarterback that goes down.
Down to the 9-yard line. Doug Carter was the ball carrier. Third down and about 5. A&M moving in on the Holiday Bowl record. They need 4 points to tie, and 5 to eclipse Oklahoma State's 2-year-old record of 62 points in this bowl game.
We got to get the variety.
Play action pass. Man wide open. Tight end, Shane Kroll, touchdown. And the Aggies have the record. They're up to 64 points. That's the first career touchdown reception for the senior from Gainesville, Texas, Shane Kroll.
How much ammunition they take to a game with a cannon?
Well, they still fired at that time. Lance Pavlis throws the touchdown pass.
The dog's happy.
So despite being lifted for Bucky Richardson at midseason, Pavlis was still the highest rated quarterback in the Southwest Conference. In the quarterback ratings, he checked in at 159.1. 65-14. We'll be back.
We know you rise and fall, joy and sorrow. You really gave your all, real laughter, real tears. Share the spirit of the seas.
Well, the officials are hungry. They decided to go ahead with the kickoff while we were in a commercial break. And Eric Mortensen had a nice return of a short kick. He brought it back to the 44-yard line. That's where the Cougars begin first and 10, trailing 65-14 with 2:03 remaining.
That's going to be a nice ride home for A&M because they're going to be happy with this. I just hope the BYU people don't forget what they've accomplished this year. They accomplished an awful lot. And they were on target to challenge for the national championship up until the last 2 ball games.
Anthony Williams, another starter who is still in there, recovers the missed handoff. And the Aggies get it back at the 40-yard line. Again, we remind you that the blimp has been provided by Virgin Lightships, operators of the world's only internally illuminated airship. And we thank Virgin Lightships for providing the beautiful pictures of Jack Murphy Stadium and the San Diego area. The new quarterback is number 15, Kent Petty, a sophomore, 6'3", 208 pounds. There's Kent.
If you're a coach right now, if you're Lavelle Edwards, you're standing on the sidelines right now, you're thinking about recruiting and spring practice. Believe it or not, I mean, it's a long season, but that guy right there is thinking about spring practice. Here's what we got to add. We've got to get ready next year. Recruiting, and that's what's going through his mind right now.
Simmons carries for a first down. Time now for our thrifty car rental players of the game. For Texas A&M quarterback Bucky Richardson. What a night he had. Passed for 203 yards, rushed for 119, scored 3 touchdowns, including a touchdown reception. And for BYU on this difficult night for the Cougars, Chris Smith had 5 catches for 96 yards, coming on the heels of his record-setting season. During the regular year, he took in 68 passes, 1,156 yards, the most yards receiving ever in the NCAA by a tight end. Coming up in 50 seconds, Sports Center. Tom Mees and Gary Miller will bring you NFL highlights, NBA highlights, and top 20 college basketball action. Gary Miller has been a nice addition to the ESPN family, along with the sturdy veteran, Tom Mees.
Good people. I'm impressed with everybody there. I really am. It's a first-class outfit. BYU still attacking on defense. They're still hitting hard. They didn't quit. Still playing hard.
And that's it. Lavelle Edwards hasn't budged very far off his sideline. If he's going to shake hands, it's going to be very reluctantly. He does not appear to be in much of a rush to congratulate R.C. Slocum. And that was not a friendly exchange with Bob Toledo, the offensive coordinator of Texas A&M.
I think it's tough on both sides, and as I said before, he's a gentleman.
R.C. Slocum is looking for him. But Lavelle, one of the classy guys in college football, doesn't appear to want to shake hands with R.C. Slocum, and I can't say that I blame him. The 13th annual SeaWorld Holiday Bowl goes to Texas A&M with a record-setting performance. The final score, the Aggies 65 and the Cougars 14. For Mike Gottfried and Neil Lomax, so long from San Diego.
You're watching TSN, the Sports Network.